Well, guys, we are back for another episode of the Liberal Asshole Show, episode 109, a very late one too. And what are today's topics?
Tim Walz is Kamala's VP, watching the new norm, Ukraine invades Kursk, transphobes raging about cis women at Olympics, Karen Twitter sues advertisers, Kyle Rittenhouse turns on Trump then cucks right back, and Biden's SCOTUS reform update.
Alright, so what did we cover first?
Let's do the Tim Walz being Kamala's VP.
Yay! So, of course, the other day, guys, Kamala finally announced her VP. And to my surprise, because I thought this wasn't going to happen, it was Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, who is absolutely based. Kamala did the exact opposite of what Trump did, picking Vance. He picked the worst candidate possible. She picked the best candidate possible. As he is absolutely awesome. Just the exact pick Kamala needs to have if she wants to win, because she needs to get progressive votes, and that's going to definitely help when you have a progressive as your VP. And we have available Kyle. We're not going to watch the whole thing, it's over 31 minutes long, but the main point of it is like in the first few minutes. So we're going to check it out. He's going to cover all the base policies that Walz is. And I kid you, like everything on this list that Kyle covers is pretty much all 100% good. So here we go.
All right, guys, let me clonk you over the head with some policy substance here. So you are going to know more about Tim Walz's record and his policies than anybody.
And if you don't know up front, he's basically Bernie. And if anything, optically, he might even be better than Bernie because he's not as old and he is a Democrat. So it's two of the main arguments you remember idiot Democrats used against Bernie the last several years. But all those are all out of the way. And such. And another thing he might be better than Bernie is that he is willing to go low and make fun of people. Even base Bernie won't do that because he's too nice. So that's something. So he might even be better than Bernie overall. Let's go.
To walk you through just as much as humanly possible of his record and his policies and the kind of politician that he is. So you're already familiar with some of it, but we're going to get a hell of a lot deeper in this segment. So as I told you, day one, as soon as Kamala became the one, if you ask me, hey, who would you have be Kamala's VP? In the whole country, who would you pick? I would have picked Tim Walz over Bernie Sanders. Now,
beforehand, I would have picked Bernie instead, but hey, this is just good enough. If anything made better,
obviously.
But at the same time, I thought it was going to be the least likely one because Kamala picking a progressive? No way. But she surprised us and actually did it.
If the nominal reason Biden's stepping aside is age, you don't want to replace him with somebody who's older, there's that. But honestly, even from a policy perspective, the thing about Tim Walz that's better than Bernie is that their voting records are similar, but Tim Walz has much better political instincts. And I think he's also a much bigger fighter. So he has this reputation as being bipartisan when he was in Congress. But the thing is, as Tim actually says in his speeches, I learned to compromise without compromising my values, right? Now, again, to be fair, Bernie was called the Amendment King for a very similar reason, but the difference is I feel like the speeches and the interviews and the debate moments of Tim Walz, he's willing to hit the right harder than Bernie is. Okay, so having said all that,
Bernie sticks to more substance, which is, while still very good, Walz will actually go for the punch, which Bernie a lot of times wouldn't do it.
Dive into it here. As you all know, Tim Walz is by far the best Democratic governor in the country. He had a one-seat majority in Minnesota, and he implemented the following. Universal free school meals, legal weed, carbon-free electricity by 2040.
That's based, but the only problem is that carbon-free electricity by 2040, that's way too long. It needs to go farther and such. So, like, the one thing on this list that he's not...
If you really focus on it, you probably could. I read somewhere that you could, that it is actually possible, if we really focused on it, to decarbonize in about 10 years.
Yeah, because we got
about 2035.
Yeah, we got to decarbonize.
It wouldn't be easy, but it would. But it is possible. Is it easy? Hell no. But it is possible.
So yeah, like the only not fully 100% good thing on this list is because he didn't go far enough, but still, carbon-free electricity by 2040, absolutely based.
He did tax rebates for the working class up to $1,300 if you make under $150,000 a year.
Based!
12 weeks paid family leave.
Based!
12 weeks paid sick leave.
Based!
He banned gay conversion therapy.
Based!
Because, of course, it doesn't work. He did red flag laws for guns.
Based!
That means if you are having a mental breakdown, it becomes illegal for them to confiscate your guns until you're no longer having a mental breakdown. Universal background checks for guns. That polls at like 80 or 90%. Automatic voter registration.
Based!
Free public college if you make under $80,000 a year. He banned the PFAS, which are forever chemicals, which have some health consequences associated with them. He did a $2.2 billion increase in K-12 school funding. And he did sectoral bargaining for nursing home workers, which, of course, massively raised the wages
and this is not
of nursing home
people.
workers.
There's still more
so this is the
coming
list
in.
that you're familiar with, right?
But every one of
What
these
you don't know
things,
is
all
that
based,
when I
except
initially
for one which
crafted this
doesn't go
tweet
all the way, but still based.
and came up with this list, it was based on like 1 or 2 articles that came out when we were learning about what I'll call the Minnesota miracle, how they just did so many base things in such a short time span.
Because, like we said, guys, Midwest Democrats know how to do shit. East Coast Dems and West Coast Dems do not, because they're neo-libs and don't give a crap.
But there's so much more to this guy. So he was also a congressman, right? And this is also only part of his agenda as governor. Okay, so let's dig a little deeper. These are other policies of Tim Walz that I hadn't mentioned in that other tweet, both as a congressman, some as a congressman, and then some as a governor.
There are more stuff.
He opposed the Wall Street bailouts in 2008.
Based!
This is when he was in Congress. Based. This is like Bernie did it. The libertarians were also on the same side on this one. Basically like, hey, why are we doing socialism for the rich? If anything, we should help out the poor, right?
Libertarians
so
don't care
opposed
about
the Wall
that,
Street
though,
bailouts.
Libertarians don't give a shit. Because they're Libertarians.
So opposed the Wall Street bailouts. Voted against a number of outsourcing deals.
Based! Which
and
makes Force Man too!
Going to become very relevant with some of the lines of attack the Republicans are using on Tim Walz. Because he traveled to China a bunch and, he was there for a while and I think he learned Mandarin and he's got all these interesting things in his backstory. They're trying to use that to argue, look, he's going to sell out to China.
That's what you guys and Trump do.
No, he's not.
You guys are the pro-China fuckers here, not Tim Walz. So eat shit.
Well, sell out how? And do what?
You'll sell out Taiwan. How about that? Because you want to so badly.
Ship all of our jobs over there? You mean like the establishment politicians did? That he didn't do? Because, again, his record is voting against outsourcing deals. Okay, let's continue. 100% rating from Planned Parenthood.
Based!
He banned non-compete clauses, which are, of course, incredibly predatory. He raised the minimum wage for small businesses.
Based!
Raised taxes on multinational corporations.
Ultra based!
Protected gender-affirming care. Banned medical providers from withholding care over debt.
Based!
He protected construction workers from wage theft.
Based!
And he did a massive Minnesota infrastructure bill.
Everything!
So more
based,
of his agenda.
Based,
this one is
based.
not just as governor, but some of it also is when he was in Congress.
There is no valid reason to ever be against Walz when you hear this crap. Oh my gosh, this is insane.
We're still not done yet. So I love this clip. I love this clip. And this is how you know this is a phenomenal choice. Listen to how the business community is talking about him. Here we go.
I can't even begin to imagine what the business community is going to think about a progressive. That's the governor's house.
Don't care. They can go fuck off.
I'm literally texting with a number of CEOs right now, and not to say that CEOs are an arbiter of anything, but the business community, as you just said, I think was hoping, maybe hoping against hope, that the governor of Pennsylvania would be the vice presidential pick, and that was going to be a larger indicator or signal about how Vice President Harris would govern as president, potentially moving more towards the center as opposed to moving more towards the left. Clearly, it appears at least that this pick, at least in the eyes of the business community, is a signal that, in fact, she may want to govern more from a progressive left standpoint. You talked about Shapiro, his stance on fracking, for example, was something that that the business community thought, okay, we can work with him.
Shapiro also wanted to cut corporate taxes. He supports charter schools. So he has a number of things that show him to be certainly more in the center than on the left.
Given the sort of back and forth now of where Harris has been on fracking, that was going to ultimately help her. I don't think we know enough exactly about this pick's views on certain economic issues.
I love how he says that. It's like, you could have just done research and learned all of it. He says, we don't know enough because I haven't heard other people talk about it and I'm too lazy to do my research. You could just read about it. Oh my God, I hate these people so much. Oh, these are the ones who are in mainstream media. Like the laziest.
Yep. So, yeah, Tim Walz, VP, absolutely the right choice, and Republicans and conservatives are scared shitless because they have nothing.
Yep.
They have nothing against him. Oh my god, all the lies they spew about him because they know you can't beat him. Hey, you know what? You know what? Walz is a literal shuckle, and you don't fuckle with the shuckle.
Yes!
And I know firsthand because I almost lost to a shuckle on Stadium 2 recently with my Mewtwo. So yeah, don't fuck with the shuckle. You can't beat Walz. He is the ultimate wall in Pokemon. Deal with it. And of course, if you notice, I put a new topic for next time out too. Because unfortunately, there are a lot of dumb leftists that hate him. And somehow...
Oh, yeah.
And did you know, apparently, that he, is a hardcore Zionist according to dumb leftists?
Well, that's because he doesn't want to. That's because he doesn't want to either do a second Holocaust or deport them. Like honestly, like the only thing I was thinking of was maybe send the one if you wanted to like do that. You go like Britain, send them to Britain and France because they were the architects of the fucking up of the Middle East. America because they fund Israel to hell and back. And Germany for, well, obvious reasons.
But yeah, don't you know he's a hardcore Zionist because he actually supports a two-state solution that requires the Middle East to recognize Israel? Oh, the bad move of him for do that, don't you know?
Okay.
I can't wait to make fun of those idiots next time out, because I'm serious, that's an actual argument I've seen him do. So, yeah, what do you guys say about Walz as Kamala's VP?
Based. It's
good enough.
Based.
And of course, just recently, polls that come out, Kamala is absolutely killing and obliterating Trump as he is shitting bricks like crazy because he knows he was going to lose to Biden, and now he's losing to Kamala. Man, let that racism and sexism fly because that's all you got, Trump.
Yep, that's all he has.
Because, yeah, just think, guys. She'll win, potentially. She would run in 2028 and potentially win. And then in 2032, maybe Walz can run. And can you imagine that? Just 8 more years. Yeah. We could potentially have an actual progressive. Like that's why I'm saying...
It's so cool.
I still can't believe that he was actually picked. Didn't think it was going to happen. Maybe Kamala is actually smarter than we thought. Or maybe she realizes if she wants to win, she has to make the right choices. So, thank God for that. She made the right choice, that's all we could say. Unlike some people on the left who won't acknowledge a good thing when she does it. We'll do it.
Well, they'll remember that they're not allowed to, we're not allowed to give the Democrats credit on anything ever, remember? We're only allowed to credit Republicans.
Oh, yeah. I ran into someone a few days ago on Twitter, a progressive, actually said, I don't know how they would rationalize it, but somehow Trump is the lesser evil now.
Oh, fuck off. Fuck off.
Why do you think I want to add that as a topic, which I wanted to add this week, but I forgot about till just now? Oh my god, that's how much stupidity I've had to deal with. Alright, so enough sucking off the shuckle. Let's get on to the next topic.
The new norm.
Ah, yes, the episode, the series that we saw a little bit of last time when people were making fun of it. Yep. Now we're going to actually watch the first episode. And you think it's cringe. From what I saw a little bit of it, I actually
cringe. The end bit is cringe, but it's also like there's ways it's cringe, but it's also hilarious. I've got a fair few notes about this. Because I want to go over once we've seen this one.
Because you know me, when it comes like anime, I like the trash that people hate. I like to see like the male protagonist fall on a woman with his face in her tits or ass, crotch or whatever. She screams, calls him a pervert, and beats the crap out of him. That's the kind of humor I like. Hardcore like slapstick and stuff like that. So cringe, trash is my type of stuff. So I might actually like this. But we'll see. Watch, very soon we'll start watching anime on here. Ah! So here we go.
What's that?
Progress. It's the new norm.
The new norm.
Again, there's nothing wrong with corporations, including beer companies, supporting LGBT. Remember this the issue that they had like a year ago, Dylan Mulvaney or whatever. Oh my god,
yes,
it's not a big fucking deal. It's still beer either way. Just drink it.
Same as the old norm.
Oh my god.
I'm the old norm. I want normal beer.
It is normal beer.
Warning. Target reached.
Ugh. It's your fault I got house arrest.
You're the one who threatened the school board.
That's why you got an ankle bracelet on.
Gently suggested
Yell.
they stop brainwashing my daughter that girls aren't girls and men aren't men.
Sometimes they're neither, or both, or furry and dressed like dogs.
Janice.
I bet you're just stunned how I'm just laughing along with this. I told you I like trash. Hello, Dave. Hello, Rave Dubin.
What's
that?
Rave Dubin's in this.
Actually, that is one of my pronouns. Also, they, them, and me.
I bet heard Rave Dubin so bad to say that. You but the line.
Or non-binary?
How do you know that word?
I learned it in school.
That's why I'm locked up.
Nora.
Because you're violent, like all conservatives.
The judge agreed to conditional parole.
What condition?
Where's my room?
That's
You're
staying here?
Chaz is part of a new government program.
To re-educate homophobic, transphobic, racist...
Charlie, finally, someone...
I swear that's from an actual video he did.
Yeah, and of course, have to say it's the Redskins instead of the Commanders, even though it's been 5 years almost now, pal. Get with the times.
Normal.
I don't understand. You're black.
Did that just black whisper?
You're his friend?
And boss, speaking of, when you coming back to the trophy shop?
As soon as I get rid of this, which means I gotta take in that?
Offensive.
Chaz is here to re-educate Norm.
In non-bonery studies.
Offensive.
I'm allergic to dogs.
It's okay. Billy is an emotional support dog. And non-binary.
Oh, okay.
I don't think that really works for dogs, though. Unfortunately, it's getting a little silly.
And good dog.
I come here to get away from woke.
Trouble at home?
Oh, my boy, or whatever it calls themselves now, is thinking about transitioning.
Reggie?
And there's nothing wrong with it either, buddy. Get over it. And likewise, it's the Commanders now, not the Redskins. Also get over it.
Try Regina.
Transitioning to what?
Another fumble.
Hopefully not a Jets fan.
That is the only. I would actually say, I will admit, that is the only joke in the entire thing that actually landed.
But the thing is, it doesn't really land because the Jets and Commanders are not rivals. If he said Cowboys, Eagles, or Giants, it would work. So they didn't even land the joke properly. Fucking idiots who don't watch the NFL.
Pronoun. This bud's for you.
Offensive.
And also, I'm mad. My dad's family's majority Commanders fans, so that wouldn't even work. They would not even work either.
I can't drink. I'm not 21.
Y'all influenced my boy to cut off his junk, but draw the line at...
If you're a minor, you can't do that. You have to wait till you're 18. They don't cut off the genitals of kids. It's just a transphobic lie to cause violence.
Beer?
Yep.
Can't do this.
Yes, we can.
Find a way to break him. Maybe we can fix the country.
I just want normal beer.
It is normal
You know
beer.
there'll be jokes.
Same as the old norm.
And of course, if you don't get the joke either, people, it's a sitcom within a sitcom. And people, oh, hello, elongated Musgrave. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
The people of this show actually try to suck up the elongated Musgrave as well. How sad can you be to suck up to a rich Nazi? How sad are you?
Yeah.
And people actually crap on the intro too. Man.
The intro it out. No, the thing. Well, here's the thing. The song is AI generated.
I know my dad would love it because he loves country. It doesn't sound that bad to me. I don't care if it's AI or not.
Okay.
I almost forgot.
The thing is with that series is that, as Kyle had said, the jokes were super dated and like there's oh god, the laugh track. Like, why do you need a laugh track in a freaking?
Because it's a sitcom. You're supposed to have one, remember? That was hilarious. You might find this cringe, but I gotta give that a like. That was funny. That was great. So we gotta say about watching the new Norm.
Worst thing ever made, but apparently you found it hysterical.
I do. Even when they try an NFL joke, they can't even get right, which makes it even more funnier. Oh yeah. So yeah, it's silly, it's dumb, right-wing crap as always, but man, is it funny. I told you, I like trash. Should have made it abundantly clear right now.
It's one of those things where it's like, it's one of those things where you're more laughing at how terrible everything is, instead of like, some of those things where he's just like, God, this is... You make it this hilariously bad.
Like, let's see. I love South Park. I love Drawn Together. I love like the trashiest, etchiest anime. It usually gets like a 6 or 5 on my anime list, and I give it like a 10 out of 10. Now you know what I like. Making fun of liberals, ended up making fun of conservatives, and it was all awesome. So yeah, that was great.
You know that was not their intention.
I know, but it was worth it. It was awesome how much they failed. Please make more episodes for us to laugh and watch it. So yeah, I enjoyed it very much. I bet you're stunned how I enjoyed that much.
Well, I understand. Now I do understand. I do understand how you find it so hilarious. That you basically find it so hilariously bad.
We can't even get NFL jokes right either, and that's our audience. Oh boy, come on, Ethan, get here quick enough. All right, so now on to the next topic.
Ukraine invading Kursk.
Another funny thing. Let's go. So, guys, a few days ago, a new thing finally broke out in the Russo-Ukraine war, as Ukraine has actually invaded Russia. They actually invaded the Kursk area, which is north of the Russia-Ukraine border, well north of like where the front is, where they're fighting, and there's like nothing up there in terms of like defenses because Russia's putting everything they have down the south to fight, which, by the way, they're still like barely gaining any land and taking severe casualties and losing a whole bunch of logistics because they're stupid and don't know how to fight war properly. So yeah, guys, it's been going the last few days. Every time I look at the map, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Ukraine has taken over so much stuff recently. It's insane. And Russia saying like, "Oh, we stopped them." I'm like, nope. That is all cap. As let me go find the map. Although Wikipedia has not updated recently, but man, it's pretty big. Take a look at that. It's more territory.
Oh wow!
I think it's actually bigger than that now. But basically, guys, Ukraine has taken over more territory just in the last few days, and Russia's taken over Ukraine in the last 6 months.
Nice!
So yeah, complete embarrassment, as they can't stop the invasion. Now, the one thing I will say is, it still is kind of risky, because you never know, maybe Putin will go brain dead inside. You know what, I want to die and just nuke it and everything. But they haven't done that, thankfully, yet, and like I said, it would be very foolish of them to do that, so take the L and back down. And also, no killing civilians. Don't be like Russia and all that. Now, thankfully, there's been very few civilians killed, and of course, who says necessarily Ukraine's doing them either? It's definitely overwhelmingly disproportionately Russia killing the civilians. And of course, dumb leftists, when they ever talk about this, because almost no one's talking about it, are going to probably lie about it, of course, because they're idiots.
Of course. Nazi terrorist state of the Ukraine sends Azov battalions into Russia to slaughter Russians and guide The next Jewish space laser.
Oh, I know Hassan would definitely
Russia.
say something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. So, yeah, complete embarrassment for Russia and such. And why are they doing it? No one knows why, because Ukraine's been kind of quiet about it. Gee, I'm not surprised, because if they said something about it... Oh, that's right. Russia's intelligence community knew about like 2 weeks before this would happen, and Russia dismissed it. They dismissed it, and now they look like an idiot for it. Thank you for being incompetent. I enjoy laughing at you.
Wow.
Thank you. You're as incompetent as Norm. So yeah, see, I'm actually funny, unlike them too. So, yeah, why are they doing it? No one knows exactly why. There's two reasons. I mean, two possible ideas people fall off. One, it's like a bargain chip. Hey, you're taking over our territory, we're going to take over your territory. You want it back, you give us back our stuff. Which, hey, they take over territory. Let's see how well they can defend it. And so far, they haven't been stopped last I checked so far. Who knows if they'll hold it forever or such. Another thing people say is, there's actually a third option too. Another one is open up another front so Russia has to take troops and supplies from like the southern front to up there, which would make it easier for Ukraine, which is possible. And another one is just take over territory and like loot everything, like any like weapons supply hubs or whatever, take all the weapons or destroy them, destroy any like supplies like gas and whatever. And so far, when it came to one weapons supply hub, they did do that. So who knows exactly why they're doing it yet? Who knows exactly why they're doing it, but it's happening, and it's hilarious how bad Russia's defending because they can't. So, yeah, let's watch this video from Icarus.
In a war full of ironies, perhaps nothing is quite as embarrassing as a...
And this video is a day or two old, so it's probably not up to date for what happened in the last 2 days. So
counter-invasion. But as all the world now knows, that is currently happening. A few days ago, Ukrainian regular forces entered Russian territory for the first time. Forces fighting for Ukraine have entered Russian territory before, but this is the first invasion.
Oh yeah, that's right, because I think we might have mentioned before, but this is actually not the first time this happened in the Russia-Ukraine war. There have been numerous incursions into Russia over the last 2 years, but all those were like either like Russian separatists, anti-Putin rebels, and such. This is actually... This is actually Ukraine invaded, not like rebels or separatists or whatever. That's them fully doing it. And from what I heard, at first it was estimated to be like maybe like 1,000 Ukrainian troops and such invade. After looking up the battalion number, it's actually up to like maybe 10 to 20,000 invaded.
Oh wow!
So that's a very risky amount of troops Ukraine's put up there because they have man shortage problems too, like Russia is. So that's kind of the gamble to send them up there. But if they're sending up 20,000 troops, that means Russia got to send a whole bunch of troops to push them back. So, hey, please take them out of the southern front to help Ukraine out. I would really appreciate that.
By the actual Ukrainian regular army. And while this is a developing situation, as I write it, where anything could change at any moment, what is clear is that no matter what happens, it will be very bad for Russia. The operation started with a few hundred to 1,000.
Even if they successfully eventually push this back, it is an absolute embarrassment that cannot be denied.
1,000 Ukrainian troops crossing the Russian border in the Kursk region near the town of Sudza. Initially, official Russian military sources were quick to go to the public and assure them that everything was under control, even making public social media posts very early on that the Ukrainian operation had been repelled.
Still haven't stopped in like 4 days.
Been taken down, and it's becoming clear.
Oh yeah, they've captured hundreds, if not up to like 1,000 or more Russian troops, which is also very base, and treating them with respect and pick people, unlike the other way around.
To everyone that the Ukrainian operation has not been repelled in any way, shape, or form. Now today, Russia isn't claiming a defeat of Ukrainian forces, but is saying Ukraine hasn't advanced another meter. However,
which is complete
the fact
crap.
is that this isn't true, and that they have advanced several thousand meters, and likely more. As of this moment of writing, Ukrainian advances don't seem likely to stop yet. Ukrainian
and this
forces
is, like I said, this like a day or two later. They have not. I've looked at this map like a dozen times. It keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger every time I look, except Wikipedia.
Reached the only two Russian defensive lines in and around Sudza, allowing them to send additional troops to capture additional Russian territory with relative.
And looks like Although they're not sure if they're doing it, they're heading towards a potentially taking over a nuclear power plant, like what Russia did in Zaporizhia. No idea if that they're going to or if that's a goal, but one of the ways they're going, it is heading that way.
Impunity, if they so desire, as Russian forces attempt to mount a hasty counterattack. The map of the offensive is quickly changing, and will probably be outdated by the time this video is published in short order, like said, something which in and of itself is extremely telling of the situation here. In just a few days, Ukraine has managed to take more territory than what has taken Russian forces several months to capture in Ukraine.
And without no casualties or anywhere close to the amount of casualties that Russia's faced. Ukraine is doing their invasion offensive superiorly better.
This dramatic success was made possible because as the Ukrainian forces entered Russian territory, the specialized battalions defending the area quickly fled, leaving behind a small force of 18 to 19-year-old conscripts to hold back the Ukrainian advances. Ukrainian forces were then able to pass by what were supposed to be Russian strongholds with relatively little effort. This is something that has been confirmed by videos posted by Russian citizens in the area, and by some of the conscripts themselves, who were captured by the Ukrainian military. These conscripts weren't supposed to be part of the regular military. Rather, they were inexperienced soldiers completing a mandatory year of training before going back to their regular daily lives. So, for obvious reasons, they were completely ineffective against experienced and motivated Ukrainian regulars. No one knows how far these advances will go. Ukraine could choose to stop at any minute if they decide they have exhausted their advantage. Or they could pour in more reinforcements to escalate the situation.
Which has happened too from what I've read up.
Dramatically. Ukraine also now has a similar force to what they used to conduct this invasion gathering north of Kharkiv, poking at Russian anxieties that more incursions and...
there's a rumor going around that Ukraine kind of has like another 20,000 troop force to potentially try and take back the rest of Kharkiv that they took over in May.
Nice.
So, and that's another thing that just got me thinking. Another possible. They are doing this invasion to distract them, and the actual attack is the Kharkiv offensive I just told you about. They might be doing another diversion.
Ah, yes.
Kind of like what the Allies did to Germany during D-Day.
Into Russian territory may very soon be on the horizon, indicating a broader Ukrainian strategy. And who knows, maybe the world will soon be congratulating the people of the Kursk region for voting overwhelmingly for their own independence.
Very funny, but in all seriousness, no, Ukraine cannot have this territory. This is Russian territory, that's the end of it. You can hold it, but once the war's over and you get back everything, you gotta give Kursk back to Russia. You're not taking it over.
Following Ukraine's special military operation. But all joking aside, however this operation ultimately goes, one thing is clear. Russia has suffered a catastrophic defeat on several fronts, including the military front, the propaganda front, and the front of their own people's perceptions about the conflict, who have now seen their own soldiers flee.
And if they even do push it out, you know what this means, guys? That means they're going to have to probably put forces there for the rest of the war to prevent something like that from happening again, which again, weakens the southern front. So again, thank you.
From their job of defending them and their homes on their territory, while the Ukrainian military has come in and treated those they have captured with the utmost respect.
Gee, if only Russia could do that instead of, executing them, cutting their heads off and all that, but no. They're savages.
So what is Ukraine's objective here?
People who compare them to orcs, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but my D&D orc character Kratos is offended that he's being compared to Russians.
Oh, that reminds me. Remember Vosh's controversy when we said stop calling them orcs?
Yes.
I actually wanted to talk about that. I actually wanted to bring it up several times on the topic. We never got around to it. Because I agree with what he said, too. Shouldn't call them orcs.
All of them strategic for different reasons.
And man, he pissed off so many people.
Is that this operation is not
Ooh. Man, if only I could show you the screenshot right now of the map, because this looks bigger than the Wikipedia one, but unfortunately I can't.
Many so-called experts have already criticized Ukraine's actions, calling this an unstrategic advance with little tangible value. But we must all be reminded that this is the first war of its kind that has been fought in our generations, meaning that the only real experts are the military commanders on the ground who are actually in the arena. And they, on purpose, chose to take this action. there's...
Now, of course, is it still a smart thing? Like Russia does, you can use the same argument against Russia, and we know what they're doing absolutely makes no sense. Maybe what Ukraine's doing is making no sense, but right now it seems to be working, so until otherwise, we gotta stick with it.
A few possible reasons why. Currently, most of the news media is fixated on the idea that Ukraine is trying to draw Russian forces away from other regions of the battlefield, like in the Donbass, where Ukraine is currently struggling to hold ground and losing small bits of territory on a somewhat regular basis. But while this is a possible and good strategic objective, this is probably not the best thesis, since to reinforce this area of Russia that has now been invaded, Russia would probably...
Because guys, if you look at the map, half of the Russia-Ukraine border is like undefended according to this map. That's a huge ass front. The whole entire border. Like, remember guys, like Ukraine's like the size of Texas. These Russia and Ukraine are the two biggest countries in the world. Now imagine that front, how massive it is.
Probably not be using soldiers from the Donbass, but from other regions that are much, much closer. Though it does bear noting that Ukraine's assault has already seen some air resources being temporarily relocated from the Donbass front lines. However, these air redeployments are a breakthrough that will last for only probably a few days.
Okay, now, of course, this is the official recognized borders of Ukraine. Russia probably is smaller, or maybe even bigger because of Russia invading Ukraine, but according to the borders, the Russian-Ukraine border is 1,200 miles.
Whoa!
Like I said, that's huge, guys. That front is gigantic, and half of it is unprotected, which is why Ukraine invaded this part of Kursk.
Not significantly change the situation on the ground in eastern Ukraine. Another popular theory is that Ukraine is preemptively taking territory to create a buffer zone to prevent Russian troops from further massing for an offensive on the...
And to put that in perspective, the longest border in the world is America and Canada. That's 5.5 thousand miles. So the Russia-Ukraine border is like a fifth of that. So imagine, guys, look at America and Canada's border, and imagine a fifth of that as Russia-Ukraine, to put that in perspective.
The Sumy region, similar to what Russia did before their recent invasion of Kharkiv. However, if this was the case, then one must ask why all these...
Oh, wow. No, that wouldn't even... Hang on. No. I'm going to do something here. Direct.
Massed up Russian troops are not quickly crushing the Ukrainian advances. The truth is, Ukraine is taking territory for the exact reason that there are not great masses of Russian troops in this region. Others have noted that Ukrainian forces have captured a natural gas control station for a pipeline delivering gas to European countries, speculating that Ukraine is intending to cut off these supplies using military force. But this also makes little sense, as Ukraine has always controlled the transport of these resources over their territory.
That's almost... Okay, to give you an idea, domestically, that is nearly as far as the crow flies between Adelaide and Perth.
Or maybe you should put in American terms for American viewers, too.
Alright, let's do...
If that's what they desired.
I'll continue to do that.
Controlling the station...
Like compare DC to somewhere.
Does give them a less destructive option. Still, that outcome doesn't seem worth the risk of the incursion. In other words, popular news media has thrown out a few possible reasons for Ukraine's attacks on Russian territory, none of which seem to stand up to the scrutiny of the facts on the ground. And that implies at least the possibility that Ukraine has broader goals and objectives here than most people are yet ready to admit. A fact that seems to be verified by the fact that Ukrainian leadership has remained almost completely silent on the issue, implying that they have not yet achieved their full objective and are still in the process of pursuing it, remaining tight-lipped as a result. So what are a few other plausible options? The first one to consider is that Ukraine might be attempting to secure a permanent foothold over Russian territory that they can then use as a bargaining chip to force Russia to negotiate to return Ukraine's own territory to them. This is a thesis that has been quickly dismissed by many people, but it probably shouldn't be, since Ukraine is in fact on Russia's territory. On the one hand, it does sound too good to be true, and the way mainstream media has been portraying Ukraine's capabilities...
How many miles was it? 1,200?
1,226.
Okay, I've basically nailed it. Because the distance... Imagine a border running from Washington, D.C. to Houston, Texas.
See what I mean, guys?
Stick on about another 10 miles on top of that.
Guys, imagine a border from DC to Houston. That's how long the border is, and half it's not even protected. That's how insane it is.
It would seem to be an almost impossible objective. Plus,
that goes through directly West Virginia, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and finishes in Texas.
It's huge.
Russia with a small force that doesn't seem sufficiently large to occupy Russian territory. But at the same time, that force was sufficient to achieve the objective of breaking through Russia's lines in multiple places.
Yeah, because there was no one up there pretty much.
Ukraine needed in the initial moment. And Ukraine has surprised us all before. If Ukraine had massed up
like the Kharkiv offensive around this time 2 years ago, remember, when they took almost off Kharkiv back.
Larger force before invading, Russia would have become privy to such plans and moved troops.
Gee, maybe that's why Russia, if you had a brain, you'd stop doing your offense and conserve your manpower and your equipment instead of wasting all to take over very little territory at enormous cost.
Tiny bit of territory.
But, of course, you're too stupid to accept American doctrine and Western doctrine, which is superior. Like everything we produce is superior.
Proactively to defeat them. So it does remain a possibility
that
Ukraine is trying to establish a toehold where they can then bring in more troops. A balancing act of bringing in enough troops to get the job done without bringing in so many that your plans are obvious before you implement them. This possibility only seems more likely when you consider that there are a few strategic geographic features in the area that some believe Ukraine is pushing towards. For example, if Ukraine managed to push as far as the river around Rilsk, a direction in which they are now heading, they would get a new defensive line half as long as the previous one, while holding the high ground, with a river separating them from Russian forces. This would make holding Russian territory an easier job than Ukraine had previously of holding their own territory, making it relatively simple.
I can only imagine Danny Haifon and Jackson Dinkelberg shitting their bricks hearing about this.
For Ukraine to continue holding this portion of the Kursk Oblast until the end of the war. It would certainly be easier to defend than many portions of eastern Ukraine, where Ukrainian forces have already put up quite the fight. If this occurred, Ukraine would have a genuine bargaining chip bigger than anything they have ever had, which is an exciting prospect in the hopes of bringing about a quicker peace and resolution to the conflict. However, this does still remain to be seen, and as I said, the situation is still rapidly developing. As we already noted, Ukraine also already has a similar force to what they used to conduct this invasion, gathering north of Kharkiv. That could be used to open up further fronts on Russian territory, or it could be a ploy to poke at Russian anxieties and make them fearful of committing too much to defeating the first incursion. Russian troops could find themselves in a situation where Ukraine pulls back, and then hits again at other areas, wasting and exhausting Russian resources, who have to constantly redeploy to new theaters, while putting Russian citizens nearby in a panic. That in mind, another objective could be as simple as putting Vladimir Putin and the Russian military off balance, making them emotional and more likely to make mistakes. That does seem to be happening, as Vladimir Putin was visibly angry when receiving the news of the incursion, a rare moment for a leader known for his strong poker face. For a long time, the Russian military has felt secure, not believing their territory was in any real danger. A fact proven by how relatively undefended the Kursk region was. This allowed them to conduct offensives with impunity, not worrying about their own territory. But now Vladimir Putin knows that the home front is in fact in danger, a fact that will force anxieties and a larger front line, stretching Russian resources further for the remainder of the war. These resources are already stretched too thin. For example, Ukraine was able to support their operation in Kursk with aerial resources on Russian territory, a luxury they did not have during their failed counteroffensive last year on Ukrainian territory. This fact alone shows that Russia did not have sufficient air defense resources in the region.
Yeah, because the last month or so, Ukraine's been obliterating them in Crimea and such, if you haven't heard. And they got F-16s now, too.
Perhaps owing to the fact that they had to be redeployed.
Imagine that 50-year-old planes are somehow still superior to anything crap you got flying around. Now imagine if they get something more recent from America.
Deployed to Crimea after Ukraine destroyed many air defense systems in that area. In other words, Ukraine found a hole in the Russian front line, and they exploited it. and many more such holes are likely to exist, showing how vulnerable Russia has really become.
They basically pulled a Hoi 4 and EU 4
was perfect.
goof.
On their own territory, they recently fully
move.
completed many fortifications and received
unfortunately
F-16s
happened
to
to me
defend
too.
themselves. This makes them relatively
Oy.
secure at home and allows them the luxury of striking the enemy with minimal risk. This is another reminder that while we are constantly told by the media that Ukraine is weak and that Ukraine cannot achieve anything,
Because
the
people don't
reality
talk
is more
about
that Ukraine
their
is
side
merely
because they're
patient,
fucking
willing to bear with
idiots.
small losses to build up to circumstances
Like
that allow for
freaking
even
Bandit
bigger
Dylan
victories.
Burns has to keep
Again,
pointing this out to
the
all of y'all
only
because you
real
won't
experts
freaking
are
listen.
the ones that are actually in the arena. The world has been asking Ukraine for a counteroffensive for years. They just never expected it to take place on Russian territory. And even if Ukraine leaves Russia this very afternoon, it is still a propaganda loss for Russia. Vladimir Putin has long portrayed this war as just a special military operation, not a real war. He has been able to hold that perception in Russia to a large degree through control of the media and control of what information reaches the ears of the people. But with Ukrainians conducting operations
during
on
this
Russia,
time they banned YouTube over there as well.
Of course.
So much for freedom. Oh, that's right. You guys don't believe in
Russia's
freedom.
own territory. It won't be long until the truth reaches the ears of the people. At worst, Putin is now off balance, with vulnerabilities revealed both abroad and at home. At best, Ukraine may have a toehold in Russian territory that they are unlikely to give up soon, forcing Russia
and who knows,
to
like I said,
recklessly
they haven't been able to
and
stop it. It might keep
emotionally
getting bigger and
spend
bigger
their
and bigger, which
resources
it has
to
gotten
fight
bigger
back.
from this video.
Subscribe for more updates
I
and
actually posted
developments as they
link to the
come.
most recent article I found from a few hours ago, if you wanted to read that up later on. But yeah, what do you guys say about that? Absolute embarrassment. Good on Ukraine to do that.
Yay! Big W for Ukraine.
Should get nothing but support. And of course, dumb leftists, which thankfully I have not heard them really talk about, but oh boy, if they talk about it, I'm sure they're going to say stupid things as always. Ukraine must give up even though they've got
Nazi terrorists said the Ukraine is invading Russia. They're going to try. It literally start. No, the Nazi American terrorist organization has literally invaded Russia. We are literally in World War III.
Mm-hmm. That's what they've been saying for 2 years now, and they haven't learned to update the beliefs like we had to. Fucking idiots.
Yep.
Alright, so, Slava Ukraine. Now, on to the next topic.
And that is... Ding! Transphobes raging about cis women at Olympics. Oh, God.
Thank you, conservatives, for making us have to talk about the Olympics like we really care about, but once again, we have to talk about because you all won't stop crying about it. So, of course, the Olympics are happening right now in Paris, although I think they're almost done now. It's been like a couple of weeks now. But, of course, conservatives are crying because a woman beat another woman in a boxing match, and, of course, they're accusing her of being trans when she's not.
Yep, of course.
Because, see what happens, people, when you go full transphobic? Now you go after cis people and straight people and stuff. So they're not even
basically,
trans.
anyone who isn't a super effeminate, a super effeminate
like my
sub
wearing
is immediately
dresses
a
every
man.
day. And stuff like that. Guess what, people? Women who are like into physical sports, they're not gonna look like the stereotypical women. I hate to break the news to you. And there's nothing.
They're not.
And
They're gonna be muscular.
And there's nothing wrong with it either. It's just how it is. So stop crying. So of course, oh man, the amount of crap we've heard the last 2 weeks from you stupid conservatives crying about nothing. Shut up. So here we go. Watch Kyle's video.
All right, y'all. So let's talk about this big boxing controversy that took over at the Olympics. There's a lot of political debate going on around this. So let me walk you through it. First, I'm going to give you the facts of the story from Axios. Then I'll get to the right-wing response, and I'll tell you my take on it. So the title here is Abandoned Boxing Match Unleashes a Gender Storm at Paris Olympics.
For
Algerian boxer Imani Khalif. I think it's Imani. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Oh, and by the way, the woman they're complaining about is Algerian. Algeria, if you idiots don't remember, is a majority Muslim country. You know Muslims hate LGBT people. You really think she's...
Also remember, on average, people from Africa have more testosterone than the average white person, while the average Asian has less.
Ugh, they're not gonna like those facts. Or they'll use it as justified racism in some regard.
Of course.
But yeah, like, She's in a majority Muslim country. If she was LGBT, they probably not only would just kill her, they definitely wouldn't even let her compete in the Olympics because, oh God, they'd rather lose and win gold with someone who's LGBT because they hate LGBT in Muslim countries. So right off the bat, again, more stupid such.
Pronounce it. Weathered a toxic storm of transphobic abuse on social media after Italian opponent quit 46 seconds into their Thursday bout, dragging the Olympic Games into a bitter and misinformation-filled debate over transgender and intersex athletes. So, this Italian fighter, I just want to note this up front because I don't think this article mentions it because it's one of the older articles. So this Italian boxer came out and said, I've never been punched so hard in my life. And then maybe 2 or 3 days later actually came out and apologized to the Algerian boxer and said,
Why would you need to
I'm
even
sorry,
apologize for
you deserve
it? You
it.
didn't even do anything wrong. Like, guys, she hasn't, like, complained or anything. It's only, like, conservatives online that are complaining about it. The woman she beat didn't say anything other than, I've never been punched so hard in my life, which, hey, that's possible. You're not the one who got punched. You don't know how it feels probably for them. Probably was.
And I was just sad that my Olympic dreams crumbled right in front of me. Something to that effect, right? All right, so let's continue here. Human biology is complex, and transgender advocates have long warned that transphobia and a constant stream of online misinformation will also harm cisgendered men and women who don't comport to perceived societal norms about identity. Khalif...
Because gender identity and gender is a social construct, people.
Yep.
Who is not transgender.
Gender is a social construct, and sex is bimodal.
Not transgender.
And if you know what a bimodal distribution is, you'll understand why I use that term.
Boxers competing in Paris who was previously banned from competition by the IBA, a boxing governing body that the International Olympic Committee no longer recognizes. The IBA asserted Khalif failed gender testing. The IBA offered no specifics, and there is no publicly available data to suggest Khalif is transgender or intersex. However, some women have naturally higher levels of testosterone. So now I should also point out, so this IBA group, and I don't know if they get into this in this particular article, but they are a little bit sketchy. It's run by this
little bit. That's
they have corruption charges like the Olympics used to have and FIFA.
And the speculation is the reason why Khalif was sort of kicked out is because they didn't want the Russian person to lose. They haven't actually presented any evidence of their claims that Khalif failed a gender test. They've also come out and made some very, very political comments that don't seem to be backed up by the facts. The right is really hanging their hat on this IBA association and basically saying hey,
the Olympics
they made an objective ruling that Khalif doesn't belong boxing other women, and the Olympics have gone woke and they're allowing a trans woman to box other women. But again, the one fact we're going to go through all the different possibilities here, but the one thing that we know is an ironclad fact is that Khalif is not transgender. Not transgender. Okay, let's continue. The IBA offered no specifics, and there's no publicly available data to suggest Khalif is transgender or intersex. However, some women have naturally higher levels of testosterone. The IOC, which is running the Paris 2024 boxing competition, does not have a specific rule on intersex boxers or mandating specific testosterone level.
There's no limits, as you heard what Kyle said, people. So how about you shut the fuck up? So even if she was intersex, get over it. She would be allowed. Because there's no way, there's nothing that says no, you can't. So that means yes. So shut up and get over it.
The online misinformation conflates several complicated issues. The IOC allowed both Khalif and Lin Yu-ting, who was also banned by the IBA, to compete at the Paris Olympics.
Yeah, 2 other potential trans, or who knows, maybe fake trans women or whatever it's crying about, and they're able to compete. So again, get over it.
The IBA condemned their inclusion, saying it will never support any boxing bouts between the genders, implying Khalif and Lin are biologically male without any evidence. So there was this other one they're talking about is another boxer that was accused of being trans, but is in the same boat as Khalif, where they are not trans. Okay. Khalif's bout with Italian boxer Angelo Carini drew online attacks from prominent Republicans as well as celebrities like J.K. Rowling and Elon Musk.
Of course, J.K. Rowling, Elon Gay, and Musgrave. What am I surprised? 2 Nazis together. Go to Turf Island, sink it.
To some of the specific attacks in a little bit. The IOC in the Paris 2024
yes. Turf Neo-Nazi
boxing unit
Island.
quickly issued a joint statement defending the eligibility.
JQ Rowling is now dabbling in Holocaust denial regarding transgender people now.
Why am I not surprised? She's already denied the Holocaust recently, so I'm not surprised she'd go that far too.
Ability of Khalif and Lynn. Quote, all athletes participating in the boxing tournament of the Olympic Games Paris 2024 comply with the competition's eligibility and entry regulations, as well as all applicable medical regulations set by the Paris 2024 boxing unit.
The IOC says that everyone competing is eligible.
The gender and age of the athletes are based on their passport. Khalif previously participated in the Tokyo Olympics without incident, losing to eventual gold medalist Kelly.
Oh, and by the way, this Khalif woman, she lost a boxing match in Tokyo Olympics 3 years ago. And no one cried about it. No one said anything. She lost before. No one cared then, and no one cares now. Except for you, Karen.
Nobody should care.
Yeah, it's none of our concern.
Of Ireland. That seems like a kind of an important point, right? They participated in the last Olympics and lost. Karini said she would like to apologize to Khalif. Okay, they didn't bring that up in this article for failing to shake her hand at the end of the bout, according to media reports. I'm sorry for my opponent too. If the IOC said she can fight, I respect that decision.
Again, I don't recall the woman she beat crying about like cheating or anything. Just said like I've never been beaten so badly in my life or whatever. And it's only concerns they're crying about.
He said, Olympic rugby player Ilona Marr, who is not transgender but has received extensive attacks over her gender presentation, has used her TikTok to spread a message of positivity for all body types at the Olympics. Quote,
all body positivity! Oh, boo-hoo, conservatives! Oh, stop crying!
The comments of being called a man, being called too masculine because I have muscles, Marr told.
Women can have muscles too, you fucking idiots. Get over it. Especially when they're athletes. It's bound to happen. Get over it.
I should show you. Yeah.
I know that it's from very sad, insecure people online, but I know there's many other girls as well.
I know it's from very sad, insecure people online. They got roasted.
Like, Amy Broadhurst, who beat Khalif in 2022, also posted.
Oh look, Khalif lost to someone else, another woman in 2022.
On X her support for the boxer. So, by the way, I don't know if they bring this up.
It seems like she can lose and has lost to other women.
Yep. 9 times. 9 times she's lost.
Oh, 9 times. Ooh, maybe we should look up her total win-loss record and we can compare her winning percentage.
Article, but I read that this Algerian boxer who's being accused of
gold.
Yeah, she's
got gold.
Yeah, but look up Wikipedia, see if she has like a win-loss record, because usually it does for like boxing and stuff.
I'm looking for it right now.
And
it is trans?
It probably, who knows if it'll even cover the Olympics too, because that's ongoing. So
she has 47 wins, 4 later disqualified, and 9 losses. 7 wins by KO.
That's by like an 80% winning percentage. Hey, it just shows that she's probably just good, but she still loses. People, get over it.
Has lost at least 9 times.
Oh yeah, like you just covered Kyle now.
Personally, I don't think she has done anything to cheat, she said. She added Khalif's body is the way she was born, and that's out of her control. Meanwhile, athletes who are actually transgender and non-binary are also making a mark at the Paris Games.
Yep,
though no transgender women.
There was actually one of the boxers partaking in the Olympics is actually FTM transgender.
Which
female to male.
And remember, because we covered back in 2021 when I can't remember his name, but he got like a big controversy about like trans and sports and all that. And when we covered his study and all that, when he went more detail in it, female to male have like major disadvantages, I think it was. If it was male to female, they might actually have more advantages because they have testosterone still in them. But female to male, they usually have the least advantages. They actually have disadvantages competing.
Athletes assigned male at birth who later transition.
Because people, there's nuance on this. It's not just, oh, they're trans, therefore supermen. Shut up and research the data.
Are known to be competing in Paris.
Yep.
The women's boxing competition includes Hergy Bakiadane of the Philippines, who was assigned female at birth, but identifies as male.
Female to male.
Bakiadane lost his match on Wednesday, but made history as the first openly transgender male to compete in the Olympics. So, by the way, And again, we'll see if they bring this up in the article.
And again, trans lost their match or whatever.
Yep.
It shows that maybe trans individuals are not, like, unstoppable like you idiots on the right insinuate they are. They can lose. And female to male, they have disadvantages.
But this this boxer is actually trans, born biologically female, transitioned to male, but hasn't taken any hormones or gotten any surgery or anything like that.
So they haven't even transitioned yet either.
Competed against the females. And that's interesting, right? And I haven't really heard almost anything about this from the right. Okay.
Because they don't care.
There are also at least two transgender and non-binary athletes also assigned female at birth who are competing in the women's division
they just want to be
of the
evil.
Olympic sports. Canadian gold medal winning soccer player Quinn and U.S. runner Nikki
and then
Hilton.
have to make us who don't really care about the Olympics have to bring it up and talk about it because you all won't shut up about it.
And there is another set of female athletes, including Mar, whose appearance some people have decided is too masculine and who are being subjected to transphobic abuse and being accused of secretly being men and acting.
Like we brought up, people, women who do sports are not gonna look like the stereotypical women. It's the part that's what sports does to you, and it's not a big deal. Get over it.
Not infrequently leveled against female athletes. All this comes into the global debate on the inclusion of transgender and intersex women in Olympic sports. Similar issues have occurred in high school sports after a number of U.S. states have...
And grass-type Pokemon do not count.
Go fuckle with Shuckle and see how it feels. or better idea, use Flail on Wobbuffet and then does counter right back.
Ban trans girls from competing on female sports teams. The IOC revised its policy on transgender and intersex athletes in 2021, encouraging a balancing of fairness and inclusion, but leaving the thorny details to the international federations that govern each sport. Several such bodies, including the ones that govern swimming and track and field, have passed policies that make it all but impossible for transgender women to compete in the female category.
Like a bunch of Stitch have done recently.
I did not know that. That there are certain sports governing bodies, like in swimming and track and field, they've made it all but impossible for trans women to compete in the female category. Okay. The Tokyo Games featured the first openly transgender and non-binary athletes, including the first transgender women. New Zealand weightlifter Laurel Hubbard became the first transgender woman to compete openly at the Olympic Games, but failed to complete a successful lift, while BMX rider Chelsea Wolfe served as an alternate for Team USA. Along with the debate over trans athletes, there is a separate but related question of how best to address intersex athletes, whose biology does not neatly break down into male and female. There are a variety of intersex conditions.
That's why we do research and set up guidelines potential. Because, like I said, this issue is nuanced, people. It's nuanced.
In addition, some female bodies just naturally produce higher testosterone. A number of such athletes, including South Africa's Caster Semenya, have been excluded from past Olympics. So she actually was in the Olympics at one point, but then they changed the rules and said you can compete, but you have to take this drug that lowers your testosterone levels, and then she stopped competing. This year's issues with boxing are further complicated because the IOC revoked its recognition of the sport's prior governing body in 2023 after suspending it in 2019. It then set up a temporary 2024 Paris boxing unit and is encouraging the various national boxing authorities to establish a new international boxing federation. Khalif is scheduled to compete in a quarterfinal. So at this point, we know that Khalif is at least going to get a bronze medal.
That's where we're at right now. She got gold because this is 8 days or so ago. So, she already got a gold. Oh, I'm sure they're mad about that. Get over it. Big deal.
Oh, now, they would be. They will be absolutely really pissing themselves about it.
I see she had to have potentially beaten a woman from Hungary. Oh, boy, their beloved Hungary. Oh, boy, they're going to probably be mad about that one.
Viktor Orban would be probably threatening to declare war on Algeria for this.
Now, I will say, the Italian
boxer what he's like.
You in what Navy?
You can go watch the video. I can't show it here for copyright reasons. You can go watch the video, and I can say that it wasn't what I expected to see based on the noise I saw online.
They'll probably
the noise online made it seem like Imani absolutely beat the shit out of the Italian boxer Carini, and it was sort of brutal and over in an instant because it's like a knockout or a TKO.
Well, of course. Do you pay attention to boxing? Because I don't.
No.
Dylan Burns does. He he talked about this. I can't remember exactly what he said on. I don't know, 46 seconds. Maybe it's quick, maybe it's short, or long. I have no idea, but it probably isn't a big deal either way. And you know what? Sometimes blowouts just do happen. Oh my gosh, people, that can just happen.
No, the Italian boxer took like a couple of shots within the first 40, 45 seconds, and then just
sometimes fluky things just happen.
And
like when I got my ass kicked by the Jets in my Colts Retro Bowl franchise earlier.
Look like anything absolutely crazy happened.
Freaking 28 unanswered points in the third quarter. I lost 48-31.
I said she had come out and apologized.
Nasty.
Now,
and my last season,
Twitter
get a
was
Super Bowl taken away from me like
with
that.
prominent right-wing figures attacking,
at least I got
accusing
free
her
of
of being a trans man who is physically abusing defenseless women.
Oh God, here we go. Fox News crying about
to Khalif as a biological male who identifies as a trans woman. Former college athlete Riley Gaines claimed that, quote, the Olympics glorifies men punching women in the face with
you know, I would be careful about saying that, people, because I heard Khalif, I can't remember who I heard from, might be potentially considering suing him for libel charges or slander.
Oh, dude, I hope she does.
Because guess what? That is a liar spewing. Because she is... She's not trans. She's not a biological man. You're just lying, buddy. So you're really pushing your chances there, pal, of avoiding getting sued and maybe not winning. I would shut up if I were you. So if you want, if you don't want to get sued, stop.
The intent of knocking them unconscious.
But hey, if you do, we are going to laugh so hard.
Imani Khalif is one of two male boxers fighting women at the Olympics. A woman is going to die, she wrote.
Oh my God, of course. If she fights, women are gonna die! Oh my God, shut up! Oh no,
Elon posted multiple times on X about the match being between the two women, agreeing that, quote, men don't belong in women's sports.
She's not
a
man, Elon Musgrave, so shut the fuck up.
Who knows he's protected by a misogynist sporting establishment
here we
who
go.
is enjoying the distress of a woman
good old
he's just
JQ
punched in the
rolling.
head,
Yep, of course she's gonna bitch around and
he's just
cloak her Nazism in the fake feminism.
Oh, listen to this cap.
Of a woman he's just punched in the head and whose life's ambition he's just shattered.
Oh,
quote, a young female boxer has just had everything she's worked and trained for snatched away because the International Olympic Committee allowed a male to get the grass.
And don't molest grass Pokemon.
Even former President Trump weighed in on Truth Social. And
especially the Oddish, or you're going to have real problems if you mess with Oddish, from me.
Speaking on the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show, Trump said that...
Oh, and of course the orangutan crying about now, too. Why am I not surprised?
At his rallies.
Of course. Trump will keep men out of women's sports, even though she's not a man. So, shut up, you fascist orangutan. Go back to the Brooklyn Zoo like Bill Maher said before.
Gets the biggest applause is saying we will not allow men to play in women's sports. So as we already laid out,
go rage with your buddy Pootler after the invasion of Kursk.
So what are the possibilities? Let's talk about the possibilities here.
Has a lot.
It looks like Imani either has what's called DSD, which I think stands for differences in
disorder of sexual development,
or is one flavor or variety or another of intersex, which is a naturally occurring thing in a small percentage of the population. By the way, I didn't know that until I was reading about this in preparation for this segment. There's over 30
why do we have to
different
research
kinds
stuff because you can't country service have to cry about everything when
I didn't know
just enjoy it?
Now, by the way,
why do we have to do
all
your
your
work?
have all of the facts
Why
right
can't
now?
you do your work?
So all we can do is give
because they're lazy.
possibilities. What we know for sure, what is a fact, is she is not trans. So it says she's a woman.
Oh, you know what it actually might be? They might be hardcore degens, like weebs that wanted to see her naked. That's probably the real reason. They want to be actual hentais.
On her passport, but more importantly, the country where she's from, Algeria, it's not legal to be trans there. And if you look at the pictures,
it's not legal to be trans in Algeria. So if she was trans, she would not only be banned from probably competing.
It's a little girl.
For Algeria,
she's a little girl in
her.
all the pictures. So in other words, there's a vagina there, right? There's a vagina there. Now,
Kyle,
again,
they want to see it because
some
they're
are saying, and this is not confirmed,
that's probably the real reason.
Possible, but it's not confirmed that she
Plus,
has
she's a
XY
minority,
chromosomes.
so that adds
She
the
insists
exotic
she
factor
doesn't.
too.
Others in that boxing federation insist that she does have XY chromosomes, but that doesn't really much matter for the purposes of this conversation because she has a pussy, right? And if you're a doctor,
they want to see it, and they want to
the
pound
baby
it.
comes out, and you look
with
you
no
see a vagina.
consent.
Yeah.
This little girl grows up and is totally a little girl in every way, shape, and form.
Minority women
Then
can
you're
never
gonna say,
consent. Remember,
this is a girl, right? So it's possible it's DSD.
We hate your
It's possible
existence. We
she's
want you all
some
dead,
degree
but
of
man, we
intersex.
cannot
Although
stop
to be
thinking
fair,
about
if
you
she is
sexually.
intersex, it's got to be like a
Which is
one of
really
the
like we do with
disturbing.
blacks,
one of the versions
we
of
do with
intersex where you
Asians,
lean
we'll
much
do
more
with
heavily
Muslims
on
now.
one side of the spectrum than the other. Right?
Maybe
So
that's why we hated
everyone
Muslims
is
for
a
decades. Because we
type of
wanted to
intersex.
fuck them.
And by the way, you
Even
can go see the charts. I saw them
they'll
in
even do it for
preparation
other whites.
for this segment, right? They have like
You would think they would
drawings
want to
of
fuck whites,
the
but
different
apparently
kinds
not
of
obsessed
intersex,
with
the
it.
genitals for the different kinds of intersex.
Maybe
And,
white women
yeah,
have
some
more
of them
higher
are,
standards and
you
won't
know.
accept you.
I won't say anymore. You just go look at the pictures.
There's
But
enough pick-me's like Candace Owens, who will.
if she is intersex, it would be very heavily leaning female, and the genitals would fall in that category. The genitalia would fall in that category. So, look, that's what we know. This is what we know. The thing that's an ironclad fact is that she's not trans. Never has been. And so I guess the thing that I can't, that I'm just struggling with, and I shouldn't, but I am, because it's
we
so
want to
brazen
kill
and
her
blatant
after
and
we
so
rape
overt
her.
and so disgusting, is that the entire panic around this is based on a
If
lie.
Algeria won't kill
And the
her,
right
we'll
has
kill
run with
her.
it relentlessly. Fucking J.D. Vance did a tweet blaming Kamala Harris for this, saying this is like Kamala
Oh yeah, guys, it's Kamala's fault somehow for this. People, don't you know?
But yeah. Blame
buddy,
Kamala
first
for
off, she's
everything.
vice president. She doesn't have as much power as you think she does. And two, it's the Olympics. But Kamala has no say on the Olympics. You dumb fucks.
Harris is America.
Yeah.
They're allowing a
Oh my god. Do you remember? This was 10 years ago when Fox cried about Obama caused the Olympics. I mean, not the Olympics. The World Cup to happen in Brazil in 2014 as a distraction. Remember that? Oh my god.
Yeah.
I wonder what you all do in 2028 when the Olympics goes to Los Angeles. I wonder what. Are you gonna blame Kamala for all that now? Yeah, she's gonna lose. She's gonna distract us at home with the Olympics.
Blame Kamala for it. Yeah, they just blame her for everything. We know that.
And then in 2032, when Walz runs, they're gonna say you're all down in Brisbane is gonna distract everyone with the Olympics.
biological man to compete against women. This is
Bet
not
you're
a
looking
biological
forward to
man.
all that traffic in Brisbane
This is not a
coming up
biological
in the
man.
future.
And the thing that
in
drives me crazy
2032.
is, it is possible to
Thank
have
God it's
a
gonna be in
serious,
LA next time,
intelligent
so I don't have
adult
to deal with it.
conversation about the rules and regulations.
I'm not going to look forward to
regarding
2036
sports
when
and what
America,
categories
Canada,
do we
and Mexico
have?
host the
How
World
do we
Cup.
work
Oh
this out?
God, please don't be in
You
Philly.
can have a reasonable
oh, no, we don't need
conversation
to
on
deal with
that
that traffic in the summer.
But that
no,
reasonable
no,
conversation,
no.
is
bad
more
enough
about
during this time in the
hey,
summer.
What natural advantages do we regulate? Or do we not regulate any natural advantages if it's...
And by the way, people, because a lot of people won't point this out, but it's another thing too, some people just have natural advantages others don't. Michael Phelps, for example. Swimmer from Maryland, too.
Bunch of them.
Yeah, Phelps, swimmer from Maryland, too, based. He has natural abilities that make him swim better, and that's why he won so many gold medals. Should he be banned because he has advantages over others? Obviously, they didn't think it was a big deal, and neither goes for you.
Exactly.
And other like,
that's because.
Oh my God! Can you imagine that it's never going to happen because of how the sport works? Can you imagine if American football was part of the Olympics and people are going to cry about American players have too much of an advantage because we're superior? Imagine them crying about that. But of course, conservatives won't cry about it because it's our sport. And it's man.
Natural, right?
Yep.
Is natural just grandfathered in?
horny
You know,
for
many
those
would argue Michael
men.
Phelps had a massive number of giant advantages where his body was just like made to be aquatic,
Like
made
one
to go
character
fast
from
in
Fairy
the water.
Tale.
Really long arms, really big lung capacity, etc. Those seem like natural advantages you can't really regulate, right? But then there are others, like when you look at testosterone level, it's very possible that Imani has DSD and has elevated.
And I think when we covered that thing in 2021, that was a possibility solution. I think that YouTube reform, maybe regulate testosterone levels instead of like a
that's
gender
what I
levels.
was thinking.
Which, I mean, that is possible to check out. So maybe, I don't know, but right now it's not a big deal. So get over it.
Testosterone naturally as a result of that.
Yep.
Okay, well in that scenario, how do you approach it? Do you say, hey, we're going to regulate the top end of testosterone for these female athletes because over a certain line we think it's too much of an advantage, and even though this is a natural advantage, it's one that we actually have drugs where we can...
Hey, you know what? Just like how, like, I'm sure, I think, like, wrestling, and of course, battle bots and whatever do it's by, like, weight class. So, depending on your weight, you're in different classes and such. You could do that
Certainly
too, potentially.
Possible.
And of course, like soccer in Europe does this too, where if you're a terrible team, they'll realign you to like a division full of terrible teams. And if you're very good, you go into like division with like the best teams and all that. Now it doesn't work like here in America because we have actual divisions. You're stuck there no matter what.
Ameliorate the advantage. So
like there are options you could do.
That was ultimately what they landed on with
wanting to ban them.
Caster Semenya, where they said, look, you can be in the Olympics, but you just have to be under this certain testosterone threshold, and if you take this drug, you'll get there. By the way, Caster said it made her feel horrible, and so she didn't even want to compete in the Olympics after that. She just gave up and tapped out, right? But there's a reasonable conversation to be had about what should the rules and regulations be
are not
around this,
reasonable,
right?
They're insane.
But instead of having that reasonable conversation, the entire conversation is based on, I gotta call people idiots, and I gotta call people morons, and I gotta call people liars, because they're botching this from the first very basic facts. The very basic fact is, she's not trans. Very basic fact.
You don't even accept the reality, you idiot.
Now, does she have DSD? Maybe. We don't know. Is she intersex? Maybe. We don't know. But she ain't fucking trans. And the entire right-wing moral panic is based on a fucking lie. And fully, none of them have come out and said, oops, my bad. By the way, you guys know I'm a free speech absolutist. There is a legit defamation case to be had here. If Imani Khalif wanted to go after the biggest detractors.
Please
There's
do
a
Khalif so we can
legit
laugh.
defamation case to be had here. They are dragging her name through the mud and ripping her 17 ways to Sunday.
Oh, can you
in a way
imagine
that
how
is provably
triggered
and verifiably untrue?
And elongated Musgrave would be?
And I actually
it would be so funny.
It's heartbreaking, man. Just an absolute dirt poor background.
And you have no one to blame but your Karen self.
She would play soccer and she would beat a lot of boys playing soccer, and they didn't like that, so they beat her up. And so she kind of turned to boxing in that moment, but her dad didn't want her to box because he thought it was like unladylike, and basically her and her mom went and like sold scrap metal and couscous and stuff on the street in order to raise enough money so she could take the bus fare to go practice boxing. And it's just a heartbreaking story. This is somebody who comes from absolutely nothing and worked their way all the way up. By the way, has lost 9 times.
And of course, her dad didn't like it because it's
as I said,
like,
not trans, but now they're being accused of being trans, and people are lying about them in 14 different ways. It's just horrible, man. It's just terrible. And the right has lost their fucking mind. If guys, you want to try to make the election of 2024 about an Algerian female boxer at the Olympics, and you think you're not going to look like the weird ones as you've been trying to combat lately, it's not going to happen.
Yep. But here's the thing, guys. You can obsess with that, but you're gonna not gain any support, and you're not gonna be able to avoid the growing strength of this defense curl 5-turn rollout that's coming to you now as Tim Walz. Oh yeah, and also, oh that's right, you guys are the just so you know, guys, why you don't fucking with Shuckle? If you do everything lab correctly, Shuckle does the most damage ever in Pokemon, almost 500 million damage. So watch out for this almighty Tim Walz Shuckle coming at you at full strength with that rollout. You're that level 1 Blitzy that's gonna die.
You're fucking weird. You're fucking weird. So,
maybe that's why you all should hate
guys.
Pokemon,
we'll
but
see what
you
happens,
conservatives
but
do.
Either way, the entire moral panic is based on a lie. I would love to have a reasonable conversation about rules and regulations.
They don't like video games and
how do we categorize our sports, right? How do we do it?
Just like they want to ban
fits in
anime.
What league and why? I would love to have that conversation. That's a reasonable, intelligent conversation to have.
Every Japanese
but we are so far away from that conversation because half the people involved in the conversation are fucking liars and smear merchants, and they're so deeply anti-trans that they can't wait to transvestigate people and lie.
Oh no! I just saw there. I was almost thinking about doing it for a topic I forgot about, maybe too. They're now or transvestigating whatever Andrew Tate.
Yep, I remember that.
Andrew Tate now. Oh my fucking god! Oh, and of course they did to Rittenhouse, which we'll be covering a little bit.
About what they are to make a cheap ass political fucking point.
So let me
that
get this straight, conservatives.
In
every single time someone disagrees with you, it's because they're trans now. Is that really going to be your argument now? Because I'm starting to think
literally everyone, pretty much is.
I can't wait to when we're I can't wait to where we're transvestigated.
So
good luck with that.
There you have it. Hey y'all, do me a favor.
This one's a D-gen because he's a furry, and this D-gen is because he's a weeb that likes monster trucks and Pokemon. We got nothing on them. Fucking God, that was funny. So yeah, what do you guys say about transphobes raging that a woman can box and is better than them? Deep down, they're probably
it's all they do in life now.
Yep, for decades, for all of our life, that's all you could serve do, cry and moan about everything, and we're just being like, can we just vibe and enjoy our lives, please? We don't like having to talk about the Olympics because we don't care, but we have to talk about it because you all won't shut up! I want to go back to doing Madden and stuff for crying out people, not talk about this crap. Alright, so now, on to the next topic.
Alright, we've only got a couple of topics left.
Which is?
Actually, we have 3 left. Karen Twitter sues advertisers.
Yes, guys, this is an actual thing Kyle covered. Twitter is suing advertisers. And for why? Because they don't want to advertise on Twitter. They're suing them because of free market capitalism that they claim to love. And free speech they also claim to love. But wait, when free speech is against us, now we don't like it. We want enforced hate speech on you. We want to force socialism on you. You must give us money. Shows how much hypocrites you all are. So yeah, let's watch this incredible cap. This is so sad.
The saga of Twitter is really something to behold, guys. There were problems with it before. I think there's no doubt about that. But Twitter under Jack was a trillion times better than Twitter under Elon
you're
Musk.
underestimating how much better it is.
I mean, now it's just a total fucking cesspool. You got all these bots everywhere. You got all sorts of...
Although, to be fair, those bots were around for even when Jack owned it, too. Oh, God, I remember, especially the porn ones.
Weird pussy in bio comments and...
I had one earlier
insane
today when I woke up at
white
1 in the
supremacist
afternoon.
Slop. Like, it's all over the place.
Oh, wow.
Right? So, it's an interesting position that they're in because you have advertisers fleeing at 1,000 miles an hour. And remember, it was Elon Musk. When he was asked this question by a reporter, he basically said, fuck them. You don't want to advertise with us? Don't advertise with us. Fuck you.
Okay,
he was saying like, we're not going to do the content moderation you want us to do because you guys are suppressing free speech if you want to do content moderation and get rid of literal accounts that praise Adolf Hitler relentlessly. Okay.
Yeah, guys, because the reason why corporations don't want to advertise with y'all because you conservatives are fucking idiots and you make them look bad because you guys are stupid.
So now they're in a little bit of trouble. There's been a number of reports done about the disgusting content that's sort of floating around Twitter. By the way, it's also not like it truly is a total free speech platform. They've done plenty of censorship of the left and people Elon doesn't like, and they let the right-wing insanity go totally unchecked, right? So now we're at this point. You guys are going to love this. So Linda Yaccarino, who's the CEO, who's been brought in to clean up like all of Elon's 58 different messes. So she comes out and she says this, watch.
Hey, everybody. I was shocked by the evidence uncovered.
Oh, before we continue, I was actually on Twitter reading up War Monitor, who's covering the Russia-Ukraine war. According to this tweet from 6 hours ago, he said, fighting is ongoing a few dozen kilometers from the Kursk nuclear power plant.
Oh!
I have no idea how a few dozen kilometers is compared to miles, so I have no idea if it's like, oh my god, or like a few feet away or whatever, or if there's still no different from before, but just brought that up.
By the House Judiciary Committee that a group of companies organized a systematic illegal boycott against X. It is just wrong, and that is why we are taking action. Today, we filed an antitrust lawsuit against the Global Alliance for Responsible Media, 4 of its key members, and the World Federation of
Antitrust! You act like it's a monopoly! Dude!
Advertisers. These organizations targeted our company and you, our users.
Me?
The evidence
they targeted
and facts
me? I don't feel targeted to you.
They conspired to boycott X, which threatens our ability to thrive in the future.
It's like, I have an account only because there's a couple of artists that I've look at their Twitters from time to time.
Puts your global town square, the one place that you can express yourself freely and openly, at long-term risk.
Can I? Because I remember one time I got suspended on Twitter for a week for making fun of conservatives for being stupid. Sure seems like free speech to me.
People are
I'm on my second account because my first one got false flagged.
No small group of people should be able to monopolize what gets monetized. This group is no match for the power of our users. All of you, the very same users that have driven usage of X to all-time highs. I joined X because I believe
that sounds like cap, and also I don't support your lawsuit, so I don't want your support.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
Power of the global town square. It's users like you, people of all backgrounds and opinions, who make X indispensable.
Unless you're progressive, then we want you gone.
You deserve an open platform.
Dead.
Oh, I deserve an open platform. How come I don't feel like I have an open platform all the time? Why was I suspended years ago for being on an open platform?
Views can be expressed without restriction and without fear. To all of you who have been part of this
the only one
transformative
that's full of fear is elongated Musgrave when he sees a trans person.
Exactly.
journey that we're on, thank you.
Did you see his
Rest assured.
daughter absolutely smack him down a while ago?
Nope, but I'm sure he's salty and...
Oh, apparently she absolutely smacked him down.
I'm sure he's menstruating very hard out of his ass for it.
Has never been more committed to
Absolutely
innovating and
is.
expanding.
It absolutely would be.
He probably called her every single transphobic slur you could think of, too, for us to laugh at.
Town Square.
Yep.
So they are suing advertisers for doing a boycott and not wanting to give any more money to Twitter. They're suing advertisers.
The free market.
She's literally
called freedom, something you people will never agree to.
And remember, Elon, you told them you can leave. All right, they're doing what you told them to leave, and they're doing what you tell them, and now you're mad. Seems like you're a Karen.
Are you wearing a necklace? I don't know if you guys can see this. The necklace says free speech. The necklace she's wearing says free speech.
I forgot, Kyle. I saw this video. I forgot to rewind the video to check that. Oh my gosh, I forgot again. Wow.
So in her speech here, let's be direct about this. She's arguing against free speech.
And the free
this
market.
This is the free speech.
Again, guys, like we said, us progressives, as much as all you idiots on the right shit on us, we're the most pro free speech, and we actually support capitalism, unlike you guys. You hate what goes against what you want.
People who were advertisers with you,
our policies
who no
would
longer
actually
want to
make
be
free speech and
advertisers
capitalism
with you, they
better.
have every right to walk away.
Exactly.
They're saying, no, you literally don't have a right to walk away. You don't have a right to boycott.
Oh, really?
We have a right
corporations don't get
to
a
the
say,
advertisers to pay us. Okay.
Imagine trying to force corporations to pay you because you're so bad at being promoted.
That is literally the dumbest thing I've ever heard, and this is going to be laughed out of the courtroom.
I would say it should be laughed out of the room, but you know how corrupt the courts are, especially SCOTUS, and they probably love elongated that, and you know they're hypocritical, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of rule like, no, you must advertise on Twitter by force.
Yep,
and Elon did some fucking bullshit macho
you must promote Nazis.
You wanted a war,
you must
got a war.
promote genocide.
This is effectively a frivolous lawsuit just to try to, make them
and you
pay
must
money.
Promote our mouse owner.
Cough up money, and they're hoping that the calculation that these companies will make is, hey, we could just advertise on Twitter again and pay them less than we would have to pay for the legal fees.
Which unfortunately is a scummy practice that
so it's
a whole
dirty,
bunch of companies
dirty,
always
disgusting
do too.
trick.
It's so stupid.
And again, look, the fact of the matter is,
should not be allowed.
The reason why people don't want to be associated with Twitter anymore is because it genuinely is a cesspool. There's a lot of fucking idiotic things, but the idiocy isn't even the main issue.
X is the home of Nazi speech.
All the bots, all the dumb leftists, all the idiot right-wing fucks. The bots, the porn bots, elongated Musgrave.
Idiocy, there's always been idiocy.
Yep.
It's now they're
all the
like
neo-Nazis.
I bet you're stunned how I'm still on there.
Open Nazis saying
I have my own
Nazi
reasons
shit.
for why
and people don't want to be associated with that brand.
But I don't
There's
interact
a
at
toxic
all.
brand. Now they go on to point in this article, point out in this article,
or something, pal.
As a factual note, X does have terms of
You are a F-word.
Service and other moderation restrictions that limit what users can post, and Musk himself backed off his promise.
I see a female.
No, I'm talking about
or at least it's a female involved.
No, I'm saying they're going to call you a faggot.
Of course.
To create a free speech zone before his purchase bundle was deleted. X has also previously locked numerous accounts.
Response. Yeah, I do look a bit like a bundle of sticks.
And they're not going to get it if they're not from the UK either, which is going to be even funnier.
Including journalists for posting links to other platforms and purged accounts belonging to left-wing critics.
And I'll be like,
among
better be
other
looking at
actions
Sly
taken
and
to restrict
Carmelita stuff,
content or
pal.
remove users from X. Additionally, here's an incomplete list of other online platforms that currently exist as of August 6, 2024, where people can express themselves, subject to terms and moderation rules not dissimilar from X: Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, YouTube, TikTok, Substack, Medium, Discord, Snapchat, Telegram, Mastodon, Tumblr. Other social media users reacted. Okay, so then they go on to point out about how I thought the video too was literally AI. I thought this was an AI video, but it's not an AI video. It's a real video.
Shows how bad
if you look at the replies,
if people are thinking it's
free market
AI.
economy, people don't want to advertise next to Nazis. You're going to lose.
Yeah, people don't want to advertise towards Nazis.
Elon Musk says Bob Iger, the Disney
I
CEO,
wonder why. Could it be because they're absolute scumfucks?
he publicly told to go fuck yourself,
They're
should be fired
degens
immediately.
and actual degens.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but don't companies decide where they want to spend advertising money? You guys are suing because companies want to spend money elsewhere. What?
Yeah, they don't believe in free markets.
By the way, there are some people who are
Yeah,
on this like
never have,
whitelist
never will.
on Twitter where
Socialism
even
for
if
the
they
rich,
violate the
rugged
moderation
capitalism
rules,
for the poor.
they can get away with it. This happened with
Socialism for the
Andrew
rich.
Tate. He's on this whitelist where
Nazi
he gets
genocide
like
for the
special rules
poor.
where there's no moderation
Off to
whatsoever.
the nether you all
And
go.
he literally would tweet out the N-word on a
Yep.
regular basis, hard R, and he would be fine. And then there'd be other people saying much more mild things, and they would get banned. So,
Yep.
and then there's been so many sketchy instances of like critics of Elon who get banned, right? Or people who didn't even come close to violating the terms of service who get banned.
White guys for Harris recently.
Yep, they got kicked
A group
out
that supported Kamala Harris, they got taken down
Yep.
recently.
to be on the left.
because they were
And
supporting
the guy,
Kamala
remember,
Harris.
he used to pretend like,
In other
I'm
words,
a centrist
big
and
deal, get
I'm in
over
favor
it.
of free speech and all ideas are allowed.
Free speech, pal. You're supposed to embrace it. Oh, wait, you're a hypocrite. Like all conservatives.
And then since then, he's gone all in on being a far-right weirdo.
Oh, yeah. That reminds me. Elon Gay Musgrave said he was going to be impartial, neutral when it comes to politics. Look at that. Another lie, too. Why am I not surprised? That little
And
rat.
an infinite number
This isn't
of them.
hidden. This is very open. People can see this. They can see his transformation in real time. They can see how extreme he's gotten. And now, he regularly replies to like some of the dumbest political figures on the planet who are incredibly far right. And
Ian
Open
Miles
Nazi.
Chung.
Yep.
this is what's happened.
Did you hear?
Oh, no. Not
Did you hear
Chung.
about
Oh, God.
the thing about the end wokeness site?
Yeah,
that's
that's
channel of ours.
Yep. Maybe we should cover that in the future.
Yes.
Jack Pasovic.
Really,
Yes,
the biggest
Jack.
offense
It turned
was
out
when
to
he
be
banned
Jack
links to other platforms.
Probiotics backup account.
How about that? You're a bot, pal, and wokeness.
Platforms. He banned journalists who were reporting on him.
A
So it ain't a
literal
fucking free speech
bot.
platform. It's
Beep,
actually
boop, beep, boop.
the worst possible mix of all worlds, right? Because it's not a free speech platform, but the rules are sort of arbitrary and made up as they go based on Elon's whims. And it just so happens his sensibilities
Yep.
lead him to ban his own critics and ban left-wing voices a lot. And then it doesn't matter how far right you go, you sort of get a total pass. I mean, I've seen things where they openly just praise Hitler. And, people
And probably
posting things that
Putler,
openly
too.
praise Hitler. And it's just,
And Xi.
it's fine. Now,
Because
you can
conservatives
get people
want
on the
Russian
far
trying
right
to control everything.
violating terms of service, violating
Because they're
moderation,
Well, it
fascist.
just
and they
wasn't
get a pass.
just China
People on the
because
left,
they were all unipolar.
sometimes they don't even violate the moderation rules and they get banned. So it really sucks, man.
We
It
want
really sucks.
every
And then that's
single
again to say
Ukrainian
nothing
and
about the
Taiwanese to
bots
be
and the
murdered.
spam and the porn and the.
And then we
It's
want
just,
to
it's
kill
just
all of us in the
total
West.
shit, man. Total shit. And
Yep.
I bet the number
Jokes
of
on
bots
them when they can't get
skyrocketed.
past
There was a
our
problem
superior
before. I bet it's
weapons.
even worse now. So,
That they're
and of
still
course, you try to
jealous
shake
of.
people down. You guys know the whole
Of
stupid
course, they always
history of the
will.
check
They're-
mark, and
they're
now you
always
could just buy a
jealous.
check mark, and the check mark is not used for what it was originally used for, which is to denote people who have
democracy
notoriety,
and
who
regulated
sometimes get people who are
capitalism makes
impersonators, so you know this is the
everything
real person, it's not
Yep.
the impersonator. He just fucked
Folks,
everything up.
see,
He fucked
more
everything up in 1,000
dilate
ways.
L plus
and he still pretends like
ratio.
he's some sort of fucking hero, and now he's one of Trump's biggest dick riders. So there you have it. What a joke. Mr. Free Speech himself is now, I'm going to sue advertisers if they decide to not advertise with us anymore, if they boycott Twitter.
Oh, boo,
Again, that's their freedom. They have the
boo.
right to do that, but he thinks that's not the case. It's just a malicious ploy to try to get them, force them to pay them money instead of paying the legal fees, which might amount to more money.
Hey, Elon,
So-
you're the richest man in the world. You should have no problem flying on your own, remember?
Yeah.
Gross. All right, guys, that's
or
the
maybe
show.
Or maybe your money's fake, like Trump's was.
Yep.
Were you,
I can pretty much say that,
were you
yeah.
faking everything?
Yeah,
Another
remember
question about
Donald
that.
Trump fakes his existence, so...
So yeah, what do you guys say about that? Elongated Musgrave suing advertisers to promote
It's
him.
laughably pathetic, but perfectly understandable for him.
It should be dismissed on site, and hopefully it will,
Yep.
but you never know. You just don't know. Conservatives are always a
Yeah.
contradiction. Oh, but that was
Yep.
so funny still. Alright, so now,
Yeah.
what's next?
Alright, second last topic. One's about Rittenhouse turning on Trump, then cucking himself right back.
Yeah, guys, y'all remember Kyle Rittenhouse when he had his
Yes.
court case 3 years ago? Well, recently,
Yep.
he actually said he was not going to vote for Trump. He was going to vote for Ron Paul because he didn't trust Trump when it comes to the Second Amendment and all that. Which, fair enough if you don't trust him on that. If you don't want to vote for him for that reason, go right ahead. But, oh man, the right had a complete and utter
They
meltdown
did.
about it. To the point where they transvestigated him, for God's sake.
Ah, yes.
So, for like half...
Of course, because they can't help themselves.
Yep. Guys, just because your beloved Kyle Rittenhouse doesn't agree with you on something doesn't mean he's trans, alright? People can have this...
Literally, they're like, literally everyone that disagrees with us is trans. That's literally what these people think.
So, of course, for a day, he doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down, which, hey, that's respectable and all that. But, of course, the next day, he completely cucked and now he supports Trump again.
Of course.
Fucking pathetic. So, yeah, let's watch this crap. God, you're pathetic.
All right,
Kyle.
Guys. So apparently,
Not you, Kyle. Except
Rittenhouse
for Russo-Ukraine war, but this
caused
Kyle.
quite a stir over the weekend. Let's talk about it.
Anything
Kyle Rittenhouse does a
imperialist because he's
180 and endorses
American
Trump after a
diabolist
deluge
on
of hate messages
foreign
from the MAGA.
policy
So at
because
first he came out and said,
wants
"I'm not
America to
voting
be a hermit state."
for Trump," and then after getting shit on for 12 hours straight, he did a 180. Kyle Rittenhouse endorsed former President Donald Trump on Friday after being deluged with hate messages following an earlier announcement he would write in former Representative Ron Paul in 2024. That's the pinnacle of libertarianism. The 21-year-old who was tried and acquitted in the shooting of the deaths of two men.
Because remember, he's one of the original libertarians, and he's one of the ones that went from libertarian to Nazi.
In Kenosha, Wisconsin in 2020, had called Trump bad on gun rights and vowed not to vote for him in a post on X.
And to be fair, if you're like a hardcore gun right advocate, Trump isn't fully good on the Second Amendment either because we banned bump stocks and all that. So, I mean, if you're like a hardcore pro-gun nut, not voting for Trump actually could be a valid reason. Just saying.
Formerly Twitter. But after half a day of receiving hate messages and facing accusations of treason, the Second Amendment advocate announced he had pivoted and would support Trump's third White House bid.
He's treasonous because he doesn't want to support Trump because he's a single issue voter.
Because he's an homosexual.
And he wants to practice his homosexualism, but you all had a meltdown over because he doesn't support Trump. Oh, boo fucking who?
Rittenhouse tweeted, "Over the past 12 hours, I've had a series of productive conversations with members of the Trump team."
Kyle, you were probably bullied into it, and you're a
That's
fucking
embarrassing.
cock.
"And I am confident he will be the strong ally gun owners need to defend our Second Amendment rights. My comments made last night were ill-informed and unproductive. I'm 100% behind Donald Trump and encourage every gun owner to join me in helping send him back to the White House."
Come on.
Wow.
I don't think he really ever has.
Of attacks launched against Rittenhouse, who met with Trump after he was acquitted in 2021. Many of those attacks were from accounts that had accused Rittenhouse of being disloyal to Trump's MAGA movement. So this guy says, oh well, Kyle, I regret to inform you that I will no longer be one of your guests on September 12th at the TXGR event. I reckon you can write in someone else. This was not the way, bud." That's one person. That one was actually relatively nice. This one says, "Just unfollow you. If not for MAGA, you'd be rotting in a prison, bending over for Bubba. MAGA raised unbelievable sums of money for you. Trump welcomed you into his home. This is how you thank him in the MAGA movement after all those years of support. Fuck you." And the horse you wrote in on, maybe? Don't care enough to click. Wow, this is really disappointing after how much support he gave you. Voting Ron Paul is pretty much voting for Kamala. Very ignorant.
Oh, they're doing the vote shaming now. Oh, if you vote for Ron Paul, you're supporting Kamala. Just like idiots have to deal with on the left all the time that shit on people who don't want to vote for Biden or Kamala or whatever. Get over it.
Yep.
If the issue is that big of a deal to them, get over it.
Kyle Shittenhouse can go eat a dick. Respectfully, Kyle, can you
People,
please explain what
people
changed?
who, the people. Yeah, honestly, we should be vote shaming the people who are against it, who are trying to vote shame us. They should be the ones being vote shamed.
Harris wins. The Second Amendment is finished.
Yeah, pal, sure. Guys, Kamala's been... I know she doesn't have the full power because she is the vice president, but she's been in power pretty much second command for 4 years. The Second Amendment's still here. And if she does win, and hey, say if she wins and then runs in 2020, wins again, all of the 2033, the Second Amendment is going to be fine. You all cry about Obama taking away, that didn't happen. You cry about Biden taking away, that didn't happen. It's not gonna happen because Americans, unfortunately to a not good extent, are pro-gun. Like, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, they're amosexual. A lot of Americans are amosexuals.
Even liberals.
Hilarious. In his initial remarks about his inability to support Trump, Rittenhouse said, "If you cannot be completely uncompromisable on the Second Amendment, I will not vote for you." He added, "We need champions for the Second Amendment, or our rights would be eaten away and eroded each day."
And you know what? Fair enough if that's what he thinks. It's a big deal. It's obvious he's a single issue voter when it comes to gun rights. And like I said,
Trump is homosexual.
Trump is not that good when it comes to Second Amendment. They're definitely way better conservatives in that regard. So his not one to vote is a very valid reason.
Like Ron Paul.
And then here's a tweet from Kyle that says, "Stand by your principles." So he said, "I'm not going to vote for Trump, and I'm going to vote in Ron Paul." Then a little while after that, he posted another video basically being like, "You guys don't scare me. I'm standing on my principles, bro.
Sure seems like they did scare you.
I'm not taking a goddamn thing back."
Yeah.
And then again, fast forward.
And you're a gunner,
12
so
hours.
you have a reason to be scared.
I reckon what scared him was when they transvestigated him.
Trump's people talk to me. Okay, so a couple points. Number one, it is the most embarrassing thing I've ever heard that people around Trump, like Trump's campaign, they reached out to Kyle Rittenhouse. They were like, please, stay with Trump. Vote for Trump. We promise you
That's also
we'll be good.
too.
We promise.
Like, I don't think Kyle has that much sway on people. Like, oh, I'm not going to vote for Trump.
No, not really.
Yeah, like, people aren't going to care. Sorry.
Bending over backwards to get this fucking dweeby little nerd's endorsement. Like, literally the only reason he's known is because he shot some people. That's it. Now, by the way, the court case was what the court case was. And if you want to say, hey, that was all in self-defense, hey, you're entitled to that.
He's still a killer.
Yeah, because remember
he's still a killer. He may not be a murderer, but he's a killer.
Because remember, we covered that when it happened. I'm on the side of it's like nuance. It is somewhat self-defense, but at the same time, he also is not fully innocent either. He shouldn't have been there, but the protesters also shouldn't be there, which a lot on the left always conveniently ignored. They act like those protesters were right to be there. There was a curfew. No one was supposed to be there. Not the protesters or Kyle. Like, there's nuance to it.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't really care too much about him getting away with it, because I could see it going either way.
That perspective and that position. But let's not pretend like he's known for anything else other than just shooting people.
Yeah, that's it. That's all we know him as.
So all you have to do in order to become a star on the right is kill some people who have different politics from you? That's it?
Yes.
Like,
that's it.
You get elevated to hero status if you murk some people
just like
with the opposite politics.
Protesters.
That's always disturbed me. That's always disturbed me. To elevate him as some sort of hero and have him do the right-wing speaking circuit and have him take pictures with politicians. It's like all he did was kill. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that part's embarrassing. That the Trump campaign reached out to him. I mean, Jesus Christ,
it's also
they were way too fucking online if they did that.
Pathetic.
But the other thing is,
stand your ground. I've had to deal with 8 years of
stand your ground like you stood your ground when you killed those protesters.
I had to deal with for 8 years, dealing with idiot Democrats and all, being like, if you don't vote for Hillary or Biden, and even now today, I'm still getting shit, even though I'm voting for Biden, and of course Kamala instead now, that if you don't support him, you're supporting Trump. No, it's not. There's valid reasons to not want to vote for people. Get over it.
And you people who are pushing for us to vote for Biden, shame on you, because because you people are the reason we lose.
And Hillary too.
Yep.
Respect the original position.
Continuing to exist is damaging.
And also to Kamala as well. But again, if people don't want to vote for her, you're just going to have to deal with it.
look, I'm not going to vote for Trump because my thing is the Second Amendment. I think he curtailed the Second Amendment. I don't like that.
And likewise, a lot of people like me didn't want to vote for Hillary or Biden in 2020 because they sucked, and Trump being there was just not enough. And likewise, a lot of people didn't want to vote for Biden because of what's going on in Palestine. That was enough to keep people from wanting to vote for him. You guys need to recognize this, accept it, and acknowledge that Trump being there is just not enough to convince a lot of people, and you have to go after the Democrats to get them to change.
Yep.
I respect that. I respect that because it's an actual policy.
I would respect that, but I don't now because he cucked right back to Trump. So any respect I had for him staying his ground completely gone.
Based perspective, right?
Yeah.
I
don't know which things he would point to as, hey, Trump curtailed the Second Amendment with this, right? I remember Trump banned bump stocks. Remember that?
Yeah, like
Trump
we said, Trump
banned bump stocks because they had been used in a couple of recent shootings.
Trump is
and
not the best
like
person to support
workaround to the ban on fully automatic weapons.
Yeah.
And so he banned bump stocks. I remember giving him credit at the time.
Outside of maybe the libertarian candidate, because I have no idea what their issue is, because libertarians are hardcore like Second Amendment defenders. Outside of maybe him, there's no one that's running right now for president that's like hardcore Second Amendment. Like, you're not going to get what you want, unfortunately, other than maybe the libertarian. I hate to break the news to you.
For banning bump stocks. I thought that was a good idea. And my guess is that's probably what Kyle Rittenhouse was thinking of. It's possible he might be referring to maybe
Trump did
a different executive order on guns that I'm unfamiliar with.
Like one of the few
some
things he
general
actually did that was
policy
good.
that he pushed
and
that I'm unfamiliar with.
Removed
but like, who are we kidding? Trump's position is definitely the more reasonable position. And it seems to me like Kyle Rittenhouse has brought himself to the position, like the Tim Pool position of like, bro, you should be able to have a nuke if you want to have a nuke, bro. It says right.
Why do I easily see Tim Pool actually saying something like that? Why do I easily see that?
You could have an RPG.
I mean, this is the same guy who said Trump was going to win a 50-state landslide.
Yeah, whatever. Full-ass Gatling gun, whatever.
Why do I see him actually saying something like that?
Remember the Sargon of Akkad said 50 states plus Greenland.
Oh my. Yeah, because Walz support American imperialism to take Denmark. Greenland.
He's also showing that he's a literal child yet again here. Like, that's a very childlike. No regulations at all in any way, shape, or form. Even though in the Second Amendment they literally use the word regulate.
Well, to be fair, Kyle, there is like a nuance that regulate could also mean like stand an army that's God, the word disciplined and all that. There's like a nuance to that as well.
Oh man. So, but anyway, the Trump people are really not helping with the accusations that you guys function like a cult.
Because you all do.
Yeah, they fucking do. And this is the crazy. One person steps out of line,
fascist
and they
dictatorship.
unleash the demons of hell on him, and then he just falls back and, okay, all right, yeah. Yeah, very healthy system you got going on there.
For being that much
way to bring people back into the fold, chastise them, berate them. You know, this is what happens when people try to leave cults. It's this sort of angry reaction, to, like sort of you're dead to me reaction. Wait a second, isn't it you guys who told us you should steel man your opponents, don't straw man your opponents, you should reach out to people and have conversations and discussions, and you should be willing to discuss any ideas and come to a civilized agreement, and you guys are the ones who tell us about the value of dialogue and the value of discussion and the value of communicating in a way that is reasonable. And then here you are, somebody steps out of line, and it's just
see how violent and crazy they're gonna get when Kamala beats Trump.
It's like, fuck him, he's dead to me.
Oh, can you imagine November, December, how
and then eventually,
insane
since he's a child,
again,
he falls.
Remember how much cope we saw in 2020? Oh,
yes,
we're gonna get that
multiplied.
It's gonna be so funny.
But probably what he realizes, bro, you
are
hurting your bottom line.
Dedicate an entire episode just to a cope special.
The funny thing is that we're going to have so much of that probably actually would be possible.
The only people that give you love and attention and money, it's the right-wing circuit, right? And so that probably ultimately is the thing that pushed him back in line. But I don't doubt that the Trump people called him, and I don't doubt that the Trump people in particular, like the campaign staffers, they probably were like, look, we'll walk you through it. Here's how much we're pro-Second Amendment or whatever. It's all the cultists who are on social media and the commentators. They're the ones who were, you're dead to me, Kyle.
Oh, boo fucking who.
Anyway, Kyle Rittenhouse giving a bad name to all Kyles.
People get that every day.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like...
Oh, my gosh. That was funny, but also pathetic at the same time. So what you got to say about Kyle Rittenhouse cucking like that? What a pathetic... absolutely pathetic.
No, but Kyle Rittenhouse was into cuckoldry.
Well, and apparently now he is. Hey, good for you, but we have no respect for that. All right, so now, on to the next topic.
The final topic. Biden's SCOTUS reform update.
So, of course, remember, guys, in the last episode, Kyle covered that Biden is actually might try and do some reforms to SCOTUS, and we covered it. And Kyle did an update video on it more recently to give more detail on it, so I figured, let's cover it, because this could be like one of Biden's last good things he could do before he leaves, so let's see what it is.
All right, guys, so Biden came out the other day and he announced some proposed Supreme Court reforms that I want to walk through with you. So it's actually very simple, pretty straightforward. Sahil Kapoor of NBC comes out and says the following: Biden-Harris White House comes out for new Supreme Court reforms. The first thing, a constitutional amendment saying presidents aren't legally immune for crimes they commit in office. Now, needless to say,
that is the right thing, but unfortunately it's a constitutional amendment, so that's almost never going to happen, because you need it was either 3/4 of the Congress or 3/4 of states, and unfortunately that math is just not there. But it is the right thing.
To get a constitutional amendment
is
unlikely
to ever happen.
Nearly impossible?
Yeah.
Nearly.
Unless Trump and Republicans keep fucking up so bad that Kamala can get that numbers.
That'll be fun.
And you know what? You guys are really speed run it. She's negated. Ever since Kamala came in, you all become racist and misogynistic, and Tim Walz coming in, not only is she negated, all of Biden's losses, she's gained on you. So, and Kyle even said, if this keeps up...
she's ahead in Michigan, she's tied in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, and she's closing in the other 3 states.
And I think, because I was watching Let's Talk Elections earlier, I think she even took over in Nevada now.
Oh, nice.
You guys really are. She is really speedrun to potentially a landslide, and you guys keep making it even worse and worse and worse for yourself. But hey, go right ahead, please. Run off a cliff.
Impossible to do.
Yep,
I mean, it is possible, but you really need a groundswell from the bottom up, and you probably should go state by state. That's the best way of doing it. But you need an overwhelming majority. It's very unlikely, right? But anyway, okay. In theory, that's great. I'd also like a constitutional amendment to get money out of politics and ban corruption.
Unfortunately.
But okay, that's number one. Number two. 18-year term limits for justices to serve in active status. So introducing term limits.
My question is, what does it mean by active status? So of course, a term limit for SCOTUS, yes, that's needed. But I'm sure if this term limit came in, it would all the current SCOTUS people would be grandfathered in, so no term limits would apply to them. Which is why I'm curious what that active status means. Does that mean it would apply? And then how would it apply? Right now or how long they've been there? Because if it goes by how long they've been there, half of them would probably be gone by now. It doesn't make sense. It needs to be explained more.
For the Supreme Court, other countries, Supreme Courts have term limits. I love the idea, but also 18 years, I think that's a little much. I think that's a little too long. And we all know the strategy that now the Republicans are doing, which is they pick very young Federalist Society thugs and goons, like Brett Kavanaugh, and they know, hey, he'll be on there for life, and he's young, so he'll be there for a long fucking time. Okay. Then we get a binding Supreme Court Code of Ethics. Out of all of these, this is the biggest no-brainer. Binding Supreme Court Code of Ethics. People are shocked when they learn that the Supreme Court currently does not have a Code of Ethics. They're in awe of that.
Oh, you know that he's against it. He's hoping that interracial marriage gets overturned so he can divorce his wife.
Have a Code of Ethics. So a binding Code of Ethics is look, if there's some sort of issue, if you have a conflict of interest, you are mandated to step down. Right?
Which, of course, Clarence Thomas has had multiple times recently, and he won't recuse himself.
You are not allowed to accept any gifts from anybody for any reason whatsoever if they have, business in front of the court.
Clarence Thomas.
These things are obvious. These things should be the case. But we've had Supreme Court scandal after Supreme Court scandal where all the justices are taking all this money and all these gifts from all these different billionaires or corporate interests.
He's
and
the most
they get in front of the court and they rule in their favor.
Macron is the ultimate neo-lib.
It's a joke, is what it is. It's laughable.
King of the neoliberal
This is not a serious institution.
King of corruption.
This is a deeply corrupted institution with a bunch of partisan, hardcore ideological hacks. And there's never.
Oh yeah, I can't remember where I saw this, but I think he even has gotten donations from people from Russia. Are you a Russian simp, Clarence Thomas too? You want Ukraine to all die?
Yes, he probably is.
I'm not surprised.
There's been a better example of that than the fucking decision they made on immunity, right? Where basically they were like, yeah, the president is immune for all official acts. And they're not immune for unofficial acts, except they kind of are, because if they just say, I'm going to call this an official act, you can't really question their motive. and you can't really present any evidence to the contrary. So they're just basically kind of immune across the board, even though we're going to pretend like there are some exceptions. There's not really any exceptions you can prove there.
Exceptions for everything. So, there's exceptions for everything that Biden does, according to these justices.
Maybe Biden should troll them. Okay, I can do whatever I want then.
I like these ideas. They're good ideas. But I would also like to see a little bit more of a proactive way of fighting back that's not so contingent upon either a constitutional amendment or getting something directly through Congress, because we all know that's DOA. We all know that ain't going anywhere. Right? So it's more of like a little virtue signal thing. Now, if you were going to do a virtue signal thing, why not fucking shoot for the stars? Right? If you're going to do a little virtue signal thing, why not normalize the idea of, say, expanding the court? FDR threatened to...
I looked up if this... Hypothetical, this 18-year term limit came into effect to like people that have had terms like right now, 3 of them would already be kicked out. Thomas, Roberts, and Alito, which, hey, all conservatives! Yay! Yeah! Kick out replacement liberals, let's go!
To expand the court when it looked like they were going to slap down some of his key priorities. And guess what? Just the threat of I'm going to expand the court and there's nothing you can do about it, just the threat of that led them to back down and be more reasonable.
That's their ideology.
So they were acting like judicial supremacists and extremists, and they viewed themselves as these like kings and emperors who could just override the president and Congress, and basically they had to be put back in line. Okay, so what are they missing here? What are they missing here? Well, again, the obvious point is 18-year term limit is too long. It should probably be like 10, right? It should not be 18 years. I don't
know.
The constitutional amendment is not going to get through. It's like a virtue signal. The code of ethics.
I'm not sure how long the thing should be, honestly.
Let's see. If going by Kyle's term, 10 years. Oh my God! If Kyle had his way and was implemented immediately, 5 of them would be gone, including Sotomayor and Kagan. So 2 of Obama's people would be gone too. So that's 2 liberals you get rid of, along with 3 conservatives.
6. I'd say.
I mean, if Biden had and Kamala had their way, those 2 liberals would get replaced with other liberals. So it'd still be 6-3.
Could actually potentially get through, but the political situation would have to be right, and the numbers would have to be right. But here's what they're missing for the 900th time. How many times have we gone through this? Article 3, Section 2, Clause 2 of the Constitution says the following. In all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers and consuls, and those in which a state shall be party, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction. So this is what the Supreme Court is first and foremost about. They continue. In all other cases mentioned, the Supreme Court shall have appellate jurisdiction, both as to law and fact. Ready? This is the important part. Focus on these words. With such exceptions and under such regulations as the Congress shall make. Let me repeat that. With such exceptions and under such regulations as the Congress shall make. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a word for this. It's called jurisdiction stripping or court stripping. What it means is Congress has the ability to narrow the scope of influence for the Supreme Court. They have the ability to say, you know what? We're going to pass this bill, and we're going to put a provision in the bill at the end that says, and the Supreme Court cannot review this legislation. This legislation is final. And the plain reading of the Constitution is,
gotta be careful,
they're allowed
Kyle,
to do that.
Conservatives could do that right back to us,
You can decide, fundamentally, outside of the cases which are very clearly in their purview. You can give them the option among those cases, what do you want? But outside of that, you can control their docket. You could say, these cases you're not allowed to hear. This is what you have to do. Guys, these are judicial supremacists. They think they're above checks and balances. An unelected branch that just gets to casually override something maybe Congress passed or the president signed some executive order, something the president did. They just say, we're just going to decide that in our interpretation of the Constitution, we're just going to declare this is unconstitutional based on nothing, based on I want it to be unconstitutional. Well, that can't fucking stand. So this is a way to address the Supreme Court overreach in a very fundamental, straightforward sense. Now, by the way, would you like to know who wrote the memo telling Republicans that they could do jurisdiction stripping when Ronald Reagan was president? It was a guy by the name of John Roberts.
Oh.
So the current
He's mad
conservative
about that.
leading the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
He's the guy who said, yeah, jurisdiction stripping is totally constitutional. It's totally...
But now
Congress
I
is
don't
totally
like it
able
because
to
it
do that.
goes against what I like.
So- Look, you got to fight back in a serious way. You have to do it. You have to find ways around even Congress to get this done. And I say that because they're not going to do their job. They're going to stonewall. They love that this court is full of judicial extremists and judicial supremacists. They love that they're ideological hacks who don't care about actual procedure and process. They only care about right-wing extremism. So if they want to be, that's the point. If they want to be right-wing activist judges like they were during the Lochner era, okay, then you fight fire with fire. That's what you do. And some of these proposals are good, like I said. Some of them are weak sauce. Some of them are never getting through.
I don't think any of them are weak sauce, Kyle. The only problem is they're going to be very difficult to put in. But all of them are based.
If you're going to release like a virtue signal thing like this, you should at least be shooting for the stars so maybe you reach the moon.
I mean, it is
You
buying.
should have said we're going to pack the court. You should have gone further.
You can't expect.
You should have. I don't even think they
awesome
know
things from him.
about jurisdiction
He's too old.
stripping. But it's in our Constitution.
He's too busy falling asleep.
So anyway,
everywhere.
there you have it. It can't continue. This can't continue. This can't continue. These unelected extremists overreaching in every way, shape, and form, and now they fucking put the president above the law, and we're supposed to pretend like that's acceptable? It's not. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm.
What do you guys say about that? Update to the SCOTUS reform.
It's a start.
Yep,
it's a start.
It's all based, but it's going to be very difficult to get them in and such. That's the only problem.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it is based and must be done. So yeah, guys, that is all the topics. So see you all next time for episode 110. Especially when we make fun of dumb leftists hating Tim Walz for some reason or another. So see you all for episode 110.
See you then.